Hello and welcome back to Blood and Ashes. This is episode 61. I am your host Mo, and I'm joined again, finally, by my wolf brothers, Villy and Jody.
Okay, hello. No, that's cat. Wait.
That's
Wolf.
okay.
Do wolves make any other sounds? Joe, you looked confused when I said my wolf brothers, but did it come rushing back? Okay.
It came rushing back to me. Now I'm very stoked. It's like the highlight of this entire
Just,
section.
I mean, at the risk of diving straight in, all of book 5 and here in all, it's like this is our third last episode for book 6. So, I mean, we always talk about how Perrin is missing for a book. He's basically missing for 2. Apart from that mention in the prologue, he's gone.
Yeah, he's busy doing other things, being a lord and traveling a bit.
Marching from Emansfield.
That's all he's doing.
Yes.
I mean,
And shagging his new wife. The two of them have a very passionate relationship.
And
Well,
they sure do.
newlyweds. Yeah,
Yes.
it's okay.
But it's just like, I've always, even back in the day when I read the series the first time, I was a little bit taken aback at just how absent Perrin was for a stretch of time. And I realize now it was so significant because it isn't just one book. It is, for all intents and purposes, 2 books, which is crazy for if you think about the fact that Perrin is one of the 3 main protagonists.
Yeah. Bad, Robert. Bad.
Now, give us our Perrin spin-off story, Brandon.
Yes. There's 2 books missing. There's like a whole adventure that went on there that we would like to know about.
Yeah.
Probably be X-rated or something. Aiel.
that's more
Adults
like
only adventures.
something down the Mills and Boone path.
There's some fanfic out there for sure. Hey, actually, speaking of which, have you guys ever tried to find Wheel of Time fanfiction? Where would one go? I don't know. Like, I've never even, the thought literally occurred to me. You heard me have the thought in real time.
You go to the internet and you type into that search bar, and then you brace your eyes and you just deal with what comes out.
Turn search safe on or off?
Not off.
You want that
Look,
shit on.
life is too short to play risky.
Depends what you want. Yeah, life is too short to deny yourself the pleasures of a search safe result.
Yeah, filtered result.
Yeah.
No, give me the pure and unfiltered. Okay, well, I guess speaking of old friends and familiarity, let's go check in on our old familiar friend, callbacks. We pondered briefly what was the chapter icon for chapter 37 again. It was, in fact, an Adam because Moghedien is on an Adam.
Yeah.
And then the great butt kick versus nutshot controversy of 2023 is actually resolved in these chapters. I don't know if you guys remember, if you've read the chapters again recently, but we get a pinpoint description of exactly where the kick landed. And we were both wrong.
It's on the shin.
No.
In the face.
Oh, you both don't know. Excellent. Okay.
Me.
Neither of us who have read these chapters and made notes about it.
It was a flying
that
kick
at all.
through the face.
Don't worry, Mr. Detail-oriented over here picked up on it and took a note. Now we're going to do a segment within a segment called Speculation Time, where Mo just speculates wildly about things that are probably totally untrue. We spoke about the confusion around Mat and the letters, right? Remember I mentioned last time that Mat's referring to a letter from Elida that he was not there to witness being delivered to Rand. You know, Rand gave it to the woman to read. And then as Kerry called out in our episode 50, like Mat was there when Moiraine gave Rand the letter for Tom and then just doesn't remember it at all when Rand mentions it again and he actually hands it over to Tom. I have my own harebrained theory about that, and I wonder if Robert Jordan got confused about which letter delivery Mat was present for. because in the one instance, Matt was there, but doesn't seem to have any recollection about a letter he witnessed being handed to Rand. And in the other instance, he was nowhere around when a letter was delivered to Rand, and he speaks of it as if he was there. So those letters were delivered very, very close to each other, at the end of Kyrian section there, before Rand goes to the docks and that sort of stuff. That was in very quick succession, but at two different occasions. So my theory is that Robert Jordan thinks Matt was there for the other one, when in fact it was the Tom letter.
Well, I mean, that's why you hire interns to, proofread this shit.
Yep.
And make sure that this stuff doesn't happen. And his wife, who's the editor, should have picked up. There's a long list of people to blame here.
There's a personal assistant to Robert Jordan that has in the past answered a lot of detailed questions about specifics. I forget her name now. I'm creating a callback for myself. But she has been posed questions like this sort of stuff to go trawling through his notes again and to go find exactly what was going on. Name starts with an M. I want to say Maria or something. Let's roll the dice and say her name's Maria. I will correct myself next time if it isn't.
Sure.
But there's like a whole section of theories and stuff that people have fielded to her that she has answered definitively, which is something I might, inquire about. Maybe other people have asked her the same question, because Robert Jordan certainly doesn't seem to have answered it. Anyway, that ends a segment within a segment with no jingle.
Good story.
We also spoke about when Birgitte and Elayne are having a conversation in the street, and then in an alley, Arena is sort of standing a little ways off, glowering at them, and then later walks up to them and gets shitty with Birgitte about spending time with Elayne. When she had, Birgitte had quote unquote promised to help Arena with her archery like she had promised. It's then that Birgitte grabs her by the braid and pushes her down the street, telling her, "We'll speak of archery, but first we'll speak about manners." We were wondering, why did Birgitte get all shitty with Arena again? It's because she is pushing her luck all the time. She's interrupting a conversation between an Aes Sedai and, she doesn't know it's her warder, but Birgitte and an Aes Sedai, and being all sulky about you said you were going to help me with my archery. And Birgitte's like, yeah, and I will. So just fucking give me some space, just back off a bit and maybe don't butt into our conversations. I don't know if you can pick up on this, but I hate her. She is the worst.
Do you want to tell us how you really feel?
I don't know. I think Elida's the worst, but sure. It's now Arena.
Yes, she's the current subject of my ire. No clear answers online about whether a wall of air would dissipate when Matt touched it while in contact with his medallion. A lot of talk about how the flows need to be targeted at the wielder of the medallion, but then the counter to that situation is always referenced as the weaves are targeted something else, like you said, Joe. If you pick up a stone, or as Van Dien or Adelaus does in this section, horse poo, picks it up with the power and throws it at Matt, then obviously it does have an effect on him. But what we're talking about is something in between those two, where the flows are not directed at Matt, but he would be interacting directly with the flows. And I think this is the distinction that people have made, is that the rock or the dung or whatever it is not actually of the power, where I don't know whether a wall of air is also the wall that he touches. Is that of the power? Is that a flow of air, or is that air that is just around that has been shaped by the power? Open question.
Ooh, I had such a strong opinion of this until you said that sentence. Now I don't know. I was totally Matt's going to walk through this wall of air and just leave a mat-shaped hole around.
Nah, I'm sticking to it.
But you're right. It's not a flow. It's air.
I think that if he walks into it, he walks into a wall. It's not there.
That's right.
The thing that throws me off is that in specifically this case, the individual flows that comprise a weave are things of air, spirit, fire. So is the wall of air a wall of air flows, or a wall of the air that was there anyway? And that is the crux.
Shut up, Moritz.
Well, you're going to delve into the mechanics of how it does it on a molecular and
clearly I do.
We do want to do this.
We're doing it already.
It's going to get really deep. I think We're gonna have to.
We're there. We're under.
Because now look, are the flows of the one power that they use, like the flow of air, is it the flow of the power that represents air, or is it a literal piece of air?
No, it's
I think the former.
The power. So air and all the atoms, the molecules that make up air, not just oxygen, has got a little bit of power in it. It's the Planck theory, little strings of energy. So every element has this little strings of energy, and those energies combine differently when woven together. It's kind of like making a potion and chucking in some potatoes, and chucking in some snake oil, and just chucking out.
You're going off track. Are you trying to combine?
I'll focus. Just so they're just chucking in all these little strands of energy to make something. But these strands of energies communicate to the other energies in the matter that it talks to, and then activates those energies. So
when Matt touches the wall of air, it's the wall of air that was there already. It's not, Matt's not touching a wall of threads or flows of air.
No, he's touching air that's become solid.
Okay.
Which is a really dank
there you go.
Weird thing.
So we're going to have to walk back our opinion. We were all three of us like, it definitely disappears. As soon as Matt touches that wall, it's gone. I've gone the other way now.
Yeah.
Me too. Mart's has gone the other way. Well, we're very open-minded here.
We have to be.
Cool. We still love you, Mart's.
Oh, thank you.
No, you threw me there with that last sentence as well. I was going to say something else, but now it's gone.
An interesting side effect of the medallion that I, in my research, quote-unquote research, that I read about is that apparently it also protects Matt's dreams. Like, it's apparently, according to the fandom wiki, it is a true side effect. The medallion is not designed to do that, but it does. The wielder has their dreams automatically protected.
It's awesome.
Nice.
So that's not like a side effect. That's like double XP. This is a level up.
Bonus effect. All right. Then we said that Elayne and Aviendha need to be first sisters before they can share a husband. So, I don't know about you guys, but now when I listened to this episode, I had to go, what does that mean exactly again? What is that what is a near sister? What is a first sister? So here are the explanations. A near sisters are really close friends. Okay, so like best friends. They are like sisters. First sisters are traditionally born of the same mother. That's your first sister. Yes. But you can go through the wise one ceremony to have your near sister become a first sister, and from that moment forward, you are basically sisters, as if you were born of the same mother.
Yeah.
To have a sister wife, so sister wives share a husband. Apparently, to be sister wives, you first need to be first sisters. You can't jump from near sisters to sister wife, which is why Aviendha says
hold on,
Elayne.
Wait. You have to be. You have to be biological sisters to have the same husband, because that's being first sisters. Like,
or you have to have gone through the ceremony.
The ceremony can make you first sisters. Two friends
with anyone.
Yeah, I know that. Scrap that part.
So Vili, it's not biological, because you don't suddenly go back in time and come out of someone else's womb.
What is your real sister? What do you call yourself? What is your real sister?
First sister.
Also first sister. Okay, so
yes.
For two women to share a husband, they have to be first sisters, which means two real sisters can share one man.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's messed. But anyway. Supposed to keep it in the family.
I don't think they necessarily have to have threesomes. I think that's where
exactly
it's going. Like,
yes.
No, not at all. Don't perverse my words. Times. I'm just like, this is the idea. Like, hey, sister, we grew up all together. Now we're just gonna have, and I mean that could backfire so badly on a man. Like, two sisters will gang up against you. You're outnumbered. You busted. Like, damn.
But I see this as a very bad idea. But
what you can see happening is that happens anyway, even though the first sisters via ceremony that aren't biological will also gang up on the man.
Yes,
the biology of it doesn't enter into it. Yes. They are that close that they are first sisters. But anyway, that's Avienda says in that previous passage when she and Elayne are talking and she comes clean that she slept with Rand and all that stuff. She says there's a way for us to do this, but we need to be first sisters first. And that's what triggered the thought. I was like, okay, but what is the difference between first sister and near sister and then sister wives?
It's clear. It's clear now.
Yeah.
Thanks, Boris.
I think it's clear. I don't know.
Be first sisters first.
Yes.
Okay.
Who's on first?
Simple. The sister.
Turns out the wandering woman is another inn. So, yes.
Of course it is.
The first and last chapter named after inns. And that was the last callback, and now we can go straight into listener contributions. We've got 3 here from Jacob, one that he had actually sent in the week or the episode before, but got in just a bit too late. Jacob says, you guys complained about Savannah pretending to be a wise one and none of the other wise ones doing anything to put her in her place. However, that is exactly how someone who is training to become a wise one does it. We learned that later from Avienda. I'm not sure if someone told Savannah that's how it's done or if she's just a jerk and she accidentally stumbled upon it, but that is one major flaw with the wise ones hierarchy that came back to bite them in the butt. So otherwise, that explains why the other wise ones are not saying, fuck you, Savannah, you're not a wise one. You haven't been to Ruidian. You haven't gone through the tests. Like one of the final steps of becoming a wise one is literally just acting like one.
Well,
fake it till you make it.
Literally, yes.
Sweet.
We talked about what would Matt even do to stop Avienda if she was going to kill Elayne. You know, like we were laughing about how Matt is going to run after and what like stop her physically. But Jacob wanted to, he says, while I don't want to rain on the Aiel parade, Matt did kill Couladin and gained great G in the eye of all Aiel. I think he would surprise us. Like, that's true. Yeah. He would, and he's also incredibly lucky, you know. He probably end up winning the fight just by sheer fluke. But I think the part that I was sort of resisting, just accepting, is that he would run her down. You know, like if he had to run after her, who was going to win in a foot race? And I still hold that Avienda would leave him in the dust.
Yeah, she would just lift those skirts and choo.
She's out.
What do you mean? She's got a wicked advantage, like long legs. I mean, these heels are at least a foot and a half taller than most people.
Like this, this entire stretch, she's leading her horse. She's never got on her horse once, and keeping up with everyone, no worries, while pulling a horse behind her.
And Adelaide and Vandine are like worried about it, but she's just like, no, this is nothing. In fact, you're holding me back. And then the last thing Jacob said is, also in terms of all the individuals that appeared at the Black Tower that were still sane, it is commented how ridiculous the tower was able to recruit men. I think so many of them were being spun out of the pattern because Rand needed them. Oh, this is Jacob obviously saying how many of them there are. Rand is the strongest to Verin, maybe even ever. So while it is a cheap explanation, he would absolutely believe that's why so many people showed up to be trained at the tower. I think that is certainly a valid point. I mean, I think we've mentioned Rand and like all the girls, you know, like Bode and all the girls in the Two Rivers being like suddenly able to channel, not suddenly, but like there being a lot of people that can channel from the Two Rivers is probably a product of Rand being there and, you know, the pattern needing them and that sort of thing. But I think at least what I was scratching my head about is like how so many men that can channel would live to an old age or past their early 20s when, you know, the power starts manifesting and people sometimes channel without realizing it, setting off the events that we saw Rand go through, right? When he channeled that lightning in that inn at Four Kings or whatever that place was, he got massive channeling sickness and stuff, right? Like he got pretty fucked up. And that's it for callbacks and listener contributions. So without any further ado, we can move straight along to previously on Blood and Ashes. Egwene is introduced to Margidian and her silver jewelry and takes charge of the Forsaken immediately, putting the fear of the Amelin in her by instantly grasping and creating a gateway. She also immediately begins her game of houses by sending her worker bees to start working on the various factions within Salidar. Matt and the band of the Red Hand arrive at Salidar, and Matt immediately starts pissing people off by being himself, but learns that Egwene has become Amelin and Elayne has no intention of just following him to Caemlyn as Rand had instructed. Nynaeve kicks Matt during a tense meeting and Matt threatens her wordlessly until Egwene intervenes. When it becomes clear the women have no intention of listening to Matt, he leaves and the women start planning what to do with him. They end up deciding he should accompany Elaine and Nynaeve to Ebou Dar. Matt catches up with Tom and gives him the letter from Moiraine, which immediately sends Tom into a melancholic mood. Tom suggests to Matt that maybe the best way to get Elaine to do what he and Rand wants is maybe to help them in their own goals first. Elaine has a brief interaction with Birgitte to let her know they're going to Ebou Dar, and then finds Aviendha being harangued by a bunch of Aes Sedai, promptly pulls her out of that fiasco to go talk to her in the privacy of their room, where Aviendha comes clean about betting Rand and offers Elaine the opportunity to either beat her with a stick or cut her throat. Elaine begrudgingly absolves her of any tow and casually mentions the third woman in Rand's life, Min. Aviendha mentions to Elaine that there's a way they can both or all three be with Rand, but they would need to become first sisters first. Min finally arrives in Caemlyn and immediately heads to the palace to seek out Rand. When they meet, Rand is overjoyed but completely misinterprets Min's intentions and bungles the conversation completely. Min resolves to make Rand see her as a woman and more than that, to have him fall in love with her, but Min also offers her services and unique talents to aid Rand going forward. First, Sulin arrives and is shocked by Min sitting on Rand's lap, and later Mylane arrives with a similar amount of disdain for this interloper, but Min quickly tells Mylane she's going to have twins, and Mylane is shocked since she only found out that morning that she was pregnant. After this, Min and Mylane talk for a while and seem to get along like a house on fire, with Mylane proclaiming she's going to name one of her twins after Min. Rand is confused. He offers to take Min to the farm full of male channelers, and she declines awkwardly. After she leaves Rand, he travels there and he finds out the men have started calling the farm the Black Tower. It has grown considerably, with more than 100 men using saidin to perform all manner of tasks, while some learn hand-to-hand combat and sword fighting from the trainers Rand had instituted. Rand tells the men they will be known henceforth as Ashaman, which in the old tongue means guardian. He names the ranking system, namely soldier, dedicated, and Ashaman, with the sword and dragon pins that show those ranks. He pins them on Taim in front of all the men, but Taim seems pissed when Rand takes him aside to make it clear that Taim is not to go near the Aes Sedai that have congregated in Caemlyn, and that he still in fact needs to stay well clear of the city. And that brings us to today's first chapter, which is chapter 43, called The Crown of Roses. Please elaborate on this rosy scene, Jody.
Spoilers, it's an inn. Yes. As well as a crown for Caemlyn. Yes. You said without much further ado. There is ado. There's no voice notes. Nobody left us a voice note.
No. Kerry left me a voice note berating me for not mentioning the fact that Matt wasn't there to receive Tom's letter, but I didn't think that we had said anything else. So,
please download those voice notes. I'd love to hear you getting berated.
By Kerry. There's a bunch.
By Kerry. All right. Yes. The Crown of Roses, chapter 43. So, this chapter. Anyway. We got a bunch of Aes Sedai. All the Aes Sedai that came with Min. So we got Mirana in a coach with Min. Everybody seems to be chilling on their way. We got Cyanid and we got Missouri. And they're all dressed in their Aes Sedai colors. Very, very formal. They're coming back from a meeting with Rand that happened off-screen. So we don't actually get to see this. I think we're getting enough meetings between Aes Sedai and Rand now that this one just doesn't really matter. But Mirana does admit to herself in her inner monologue here that during the meeting with Rand, her knees were turned to water with fear. I was like, damn Skippy.
Jelly legs.
This is Dragon Reborn. Jelly legs. So yeah, they all come in there expecting a shepherd. And they are unpleasantly surprised.
Mm-hmm.
So they arrive back at their inn, namely the Crown of Roses, where Min quickly excuses herself, saying she wants to go see more of Caemlyn, and she buggers off. The innkeeper appears, and Mirana says that they want to have a meeting in one of the private sitting rooms, and as she motions for Allana and Verin to come with her. There's a bit of weirdness here between Allana and Verin and this group, because they are not officially part of what's happening, but they are so strong in the power that they could actually take over at any moment. So there's this whole chapter is just Aes Sedai maneuverings, but
power dynamics,
and maneuverings as well. We'll get to that. So they were going to this meeting and they see Allana and Verin there, and they can't not invite them, so they get invited out of respect into this secret meeting. So into the room, and Mirana begins to speak to Allana first, and Allana's all weird during this entire process. She's been crying, and everybody notices it, but she gets better throughout the chapter. They talk about bonding Rand against his will, but they're like, listen, I would have done the same thing if I were in your place. Like, everybody's like thinking it's maybe not the best idea, but they can't blame her for doing it. Verin breaks in a lot in this conversation, asking whether he had set any more restrictions. Like what did he say in this meeting? Like, give us some of the details. But she believes it's all going to be all right. Apparently, there's no more restrictions. They're not allowed to, like no more than 3 at a time. They're not allowed in the inner city. All those things, all those remain. Mirana begins to think in terms of the hierarchy at this point, because Verin is breaking in quite a bit. Allana and Verin not being part of their official delegation, of course. They also don't know if they can trust them, and rightly so, for Verin's case at least. But Verin does stand higher than Mirana. Like, in terms of the power, Mirana and Allana are basically the same. But Mirana's been like Aes Sedai for like 30 years or something before Allana was even born. So that we go into this whole like hierarchy thing inside of her mind as to exactly how this would all work. None of it makes any sense. It's kind of like Aiel stuff. But Mirana has to say to remind herself that look, I'm in charge. just get that in your head. There's only one new restriction. I did forget to mention that. You've got to stay away from the Black Tower. All right. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to take responsibility for what will happen if a bunch of Aes Sedai show up there.
Rand didn't think he would have to say that out loud, but yes. No, he told them explicitly.
But yes. All right. No, it's a lot of times you think you shouldn't say something, it goes without saying, but just say it, just in case.
As a parent,
so the Aes Sedai, indeed. And even if you do say it, it doesn't matter anyway.
No, it's 50-50.
No. My odds are worse than that.
See, the thing that I always worry about is if I say something, do I alert
planting
him?
The seed.
Did I plant the seed? Whereas you can just sometimes, I could just be quiet. Maybe they won't. Maybe he, particularly he. No, both of them. They will notice, or won't they? Maybe just like, phew, dodge the bullet over there.
Yeah,
it's kind of like the Matrix. What's really going to bake your noodle later on is would it still have happened if I hadn't said anything? That situation.
Yeah.
By saying something, do I invoke it?
Mm-hmm.
You'll never know, Billy. That's just the wonders of parenthood.
Mm-hmm.
Just say what you want and hope for the best. Where was I? Yes, Aes Sedai, of course. They all agree at the end anyway, because they're talking about Allana and bonding, and they're like, okay, we don't think you've ruined everything. That we can still slowly but surely influence him and, get an Aes Sedai next to him. And they want to take the place of Moraine. They're figuring out how they're going to be able to do that. Moraine's gone. Allana's bonded him, but against his will, so there's still a bit of a grey area there.
They did use the rape word.
Yes. Yes, they did. The rape word. Yes, that's the word.
Way to dance
so they
around
want to
it.
bring him. So ambiguous. So they're just trying to figure out how they're going to control Rand. So they're the same as any other Aes Sedai. No surprises there.
Mm-hmm.
But they have heard about other delegations from Caemlyn that have come to them, and they've got people out there talking to all the nobles because they've got some plans of their own. So, right, so we go to Dylan. Her point of view. She is with an Aes Sedai, Karen, I'm going to pronounce it. And she is assuring Dylan that it is quite possible, that Elayne will have the throne of Andor still. And they're talking about, Elayne coming back and taking the throne. Because we know that Dylan is on Elaine's side, right?
Well,
as far as I can recall.
Yeah. And Karen Stang, she's part of the embassy.
Yes, because this is the embassy that's been sent now. Like, Mirana has sent them all out to go and talk to all these nobles, because all these nobles are in town. The good nobles, the bad nobles. Yeah. And they all got their little Aes Sedai going to manipulate them to try and figure out. So now we go to Lord Luan's point of view, and he is with Raphela. And she's asking him whether Andor will not be better if Rand leaves the nation in peace and unity, and da-da-da-da-da. And they're talking about unity and division and peace better than war and patience better than death and la-la-la-la-la. So it's all, it's not particularly important at this stage. No. Then we pop over to Elorian's point of view, and the lady Elorian is speaking with Demira Sedai about who, and Demira wants to know, so who's going to have the Lion Throne then? And the most Aes Sedai answer of all, the wheel weaves as the wheel wills. Like, nobody's showing their cards at this point, but... Basically, this chapter is about the Aes Sedai that came from Salidar, that are, having their interpolitics going on with Allana, yes, and Verin, and then the others that are trying to influence the nobles and get some on their side and just figure out who's standing with who and who's going to come in and take the throne and all that kind of stuff. But nothing is decided at the end, and that's basically how this chapter ends. It's only like 15 minutes, this chapter.
Yeah. Audiobook.
Audiobook. No, not audiobook. Audiobook would have been 45 minutes. That's why I don't listen to them. I mean, on the Kindle, it tells you how long it's going to take.
Okay.
Yeah.
Problem with this these chapters, and it's not so much the content, or because if I didn't know the outcome of the story, and then you'd go through because okay, cool, maybe these are interesting people that I've got to remember. Okay, cool, the Aes Sedai do play a role, and they all get put into line and all of that, but it's just tedious because they all think they're going to control him. Like, we all know that it's not going to happen. They've got their little scheme of control and basically likening what happened to him by Allana to being raped, and still how they're going to control him after that now as well. It's kind of like it's a little bit disgusting.
By the end of this book, they swear fealty to him.
Yeah, they're on their knees in the dirt.
In a couple of chapters' time, yeah.
Yeah. So much for their plans. Yeah, no, really, now that we know the outcome of this, it is exceptionally tedious.
It's all moot,
But it's like, there's two things. The hierarchy, we learn about the hierarchy of Aes Sedai. Like, how long were you novices? When were you raised? How long have you been an Aes Sedai? When were you born?
Yeah. There's like a whole
to some degree.
triage sort of like hierarchy that you work your way down. Okay, who's strongest in the power? Same in the power? Okay, cool. Who was accepted the shortest? Oh, same? Okay, who was novice the shortest? Oh, the same? Okay, who's oldest? Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Or who's been Aes Sedai the longest, I think is one of them as well.
Just like imagine a little
flow chart. Yes, exactly.
If equal, then.
Yes, if then, Boolean gates.
Yeah. So we learned that, and then also we know that the Aes Sedai are meeting with the nobles, trying to make plans. I don't know what their plans are.
But I think the reason, or the mechanism by which, maybe not the reason, but the mechanism by which we figure out or we learn about these considerations for who's in charge is cool that it's coming from Myrelle, who is a Grey and a diplomat and a negotiator, right? So she is listing off all these conditions in her head because of her sort of negotiating skills and talents, like how she wants to set up advantages in a negotiation. In this case, the negotiation of who is leading the embassy, who's in charge here, because she rattles off a couple things as well that are not related to Aes Sedai hierarchies or tiering, right? Like the fact that Allana feels some shame because of the fact that she bonded Rand without permission. That puts Allana on a little bit of a back foot. So Myrelle feels like, okay, cool, she's got advantage over Allana. She makes them stand when they're sitting, like that sort of stuff. Like there's all these little micro techniques that she uses that she would have in a negotiation as well. So that's why we're getting this like extremely intricate sort of laying out of all the conditions that play into your bargaining position for maintaining control of this thing. I think in one of the later chapters, she's given up and Verin has taken over.
Yeah. Isn't it in this chapter? That's where you realize in this chapter, she realizes that if Verin wanted to take over, she would have to let her.
I think that situation is still coming. I think she is still.
I have read ahead, so.
Yeah. When Myrelle is referring to Verin and Allana in the inn after they've arrived there, she's being really, really skittish about them. She's saying like she'd prefer that they wait in the kitchens. And then also when they're on the stairs, she sort of motions sharply for them to follow her up the stairs. And they sort of like rush up the stairs. What is she so skittish? I mean, is it that she doesn't want people to know that she's associating with the other Aes Sedai? Don't people already know this inn is like rotten with Aes Sedai? Like it's rife with them. There's a bunch of them there. Why is she like so skittish about two more Aes Sedai being there? I don't know why she wanted them to wait in the kitchen. Like when what Aes Sedai is going to wait in the kitchen in an inn full of Aes Sedai?
Like the total number?
I mean, are they conscious of the number?
Well, maybe they don't want to be over 13 for the fear that might happen.
have we read anything about the Aes Sedai acknowledging that 13 Aes Sedai is a significant number, or is it always coming from Rand?
I think they
We
are
haven't
aware
read,
that
I
it's a
don't think.
circle. I mean, that is just the mechanics of how things are done. So
Look, if they're so aware of like who's hierarchy and they know, I mean, I said I know everything. I'm sure they were aware. They don't. We don't have to see it written, but I think that they know.
So the skittishness here is that there could be word could get out that there are actually 11 Aes Sedai in this inn and not 9. Which is still not 13.
well, until it's 13.
Or maybe it's that
don't
they've publicly stated they are a delegation of 9. Don't worry, Rand. We are 9. We are putting all our cards on the table. Don't get scared. And suddenly 2 more are added to that number, and they would be seen as being disingenuous about the number
Which
of
is
Aes
also
Sedai they
kind of a
have.
moot point to
Possibly.
extrapolate it so far, because Rand knows Verin is there. Rand
But
knows
does Allana
Verin
know
is-
that Rand knows?
Of course, because Allana bonded him. So
Mirana, not Delana. Or Allana, Mirana.
sorry, too many Lanas. now.
Inventing names now.
It's from her point of view. Anyway, I just thought like she was being sort of weird about wanting Allana and Verin to wait in the kitchen. What the fuck for? Anyway,
Again, like I said, this was just
We won't dwell.
tedious reading. It's
Yeah,
I want to
we're spending a lot of time on something tedious.
Well, I want to unpick, like, what are her motivations or what are her fears? Like, why is she acting in this way? Why was this said to us? What is Robert Jordan trying to, convey to us by her acting in this way? Anyway. Lots of mention of, Allana again, like her hands are physically quivering at times. Like she is in real rough shape. I mean, if you think about how stoic the Aes Sedai generally are, like for her to physically manifest those signs of being frayed is pretty rough. And then on the flip side, more reminders of just like people know, or at least Mirana does, that Verin is not as sort of dotty and spacey as she puts out. A lot of talk about her eyes being bird-like and sort of like focused and sharp, and like she's got a smudge of ink on her nose again. I wonder if like Verin prepares for the day and the last thing she does is like rub some ink on her nose
Yes,
and
yes.
spill
Like
some on her dress.
the Maester Pycelle, who gets like into character before leaving the room.
Kicks the whores out of the room and then does his stretches.
She probably gets the makeup on, a little bit of rouge, and then a smudge on the nose, and off I go.
Just the finishing
Yeah,
touch.
but Mirana says her eyes are disconcerting, is
Yes,
the word that she
yes.
used.
She's right to be wary of Verin, and I think she's onto Verin's sort of threat, the threat that Verin poses to her.
Yeah.
Then what else? I thought it was funny that they assumed the spear in Rand's hand must be an Aiel thing. When you think of it, of course they would think that the Aiel fight with spears, they all carry spears, must be an Aiel thing. Couldn't be further from the truth. Allana mentions here that if she had to dwell on Rand's wound, it would make her want to weep. So, Villy, I think you said in a previous episode, like Alana's bonded to Rand and he's feeling all these things at the same time. Like Allana must be a fucking puddle, like she must be absolutely wrecked. But yeah, she's saying like she can sort of tune it out. If she had to focus on it, that is exactly what would happen. And she can't believe that he's just cruising around with it.
She's, not to mention that the death of her warders are still fresh. Warder, I think was only one. Then she's with him, and now Min is with Rand as well. She's feeling all of that weirdness going on.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. No wonder she's crying.
I thought it was funny that the Aes Sedai think it was Rand bluffing about knowing when they can channel. They almost wanted to channel just to show him that he doesn't. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't test him.
Bad idea.
And they mention an Aiel, that a sun-haired Aiel who at least was wearing skirts, made no attempt to hide her dislike. That was Elayne, right?
No.
No?
Isn't it? That was who was wearing skirts, wasn't? I thought they were referring to Sulin.
They wouldn't necessarily know for a fact that Sulin is Aiel because she's wearing palace livery. I think she was talking about specifically, I think sun-haired has been a description they've used for Elayne.
Yeah, Sulin is white-haired, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Snow-haired, it's not sun-haired. Okay,
Moonhead? I got you. Yes, he is no longer a shepherd, and Moraine has taught him well. And just what a fantastic teacher Moiraine ended up being for Rand. Hey, like not just the fact that she's Aes Sedai and she knows about all like what the Tower politics and what the Aes Sedai are going to do, but that she's also a noble, so she can teach him how to act around nobles, and then more than that, a Kyrenian noble and a master at Dice Day Mar, so she can teach him how to play the game of houses. Thank you, Patton and Rand being a Taveran, for pulling like the perfect Aes Sedai to coach him towards him. Just makes me just miss her. I miss Moiraine.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking now that maybe it's a good thing. Excuse what I'm going to say, that she has disappeared and died apparently, because Rand would be too OP if she like stayed with him the entire time. This book would be finished by book 7.
Probably true.
Everything resolved. Yeah, because you got to let Rand go on his own and have like a a major breakdown and turn to the dark almost, and then be redeemed. You got to have that whole arc. Yeah. And if Moiraine was around, I don't know if he would. She would sort him right out.
Yeah.
Rand would have killed her.
Maybe.
Maybe not. So I was just saying, well, for whatever reason, it's good that she's not there at the moment.
Yeah.
The pattern had her wink out. No matter that a flame gets ignited again. So it would have winked out somewhere else. And maybe
she's not dead. So it hasn't winked out. She's just on the bench. She's just in the sin bin.
On the bench, but Rand could have done that. He could have chucked her into Toadland, where he met Celine for the first time.
The Groll.
Toadland. Or the Golem.
No, not the Golem.
As Billy would say.
Toadland.
The Groll.
Groll. So you got a toad in a box. I heard that the other day.
Oh, good.
Classic stuff.
Then my last question was, I was a little bit confused about the meeting with Elorian. Doesn't matter who the Aes Sedai was that was talking to her, but like, why were they playing coy about like who would take the throne? Are they trying to plant the seed in Elorian's head that she can take the throne? Because she does try for it, doesn't she?
Yeah, of course they are. They're trying to play everybody against everybody and see who wins, and
that's so.
Then they've connected to whoever wins.
That's so
doesn't matter which side.
Unnecessarily conniving. Like, wouldn't it be best for them to have Elayne take the throne and be an Aes Sedai in charge of Andor? Like,
no, but then you haven't covered all your. Then you weren't Benny Gesserit enough. You've got to cover all your bases.
Yeah. I guess.
So,
yes.
A lot of Dune references coming out today.
Was there? There was just I think you're talking about. Isn't there an image I shared earlier that's
what I mean?
Listeners are not aware of. Okay, yes. But our listeners don't know what you're talking about.
No. Just for us. This is just for the three of us.
Okay. Inside jokes.
Anything else, Vil, on that chapter?
No, I want to move on to better chapters.
You're shocked that I had that much to ask about it in the first place.
Yeah, like
why are we still talking about this?
45 minutes into this. Come on.
Okay. Let me put you out of your misery and move along then to chapter 44 called The Color of Trust. I trust you can handle this one, Vil.
Oh, I sure can. The color of trust is red, by the way. That's
in the shape of a hand.
No, in the shape of puddle of blood. Okay, serious note. Matt's point of view, he's in Salidar, and he needs to claim something. So Matt decided and he instructed his bannermen to claim the stables. So his banners are hanging outside the stables, and it's also his room. Matt will be sleeping there, but it seems. Matt is, after being kicked out by the girls, he has basically been abandoned by anyone that's supposed to be an acquaintance or a friend in this town. And he's left to just sort of fend for himself. So he does what is best and tries to find a party, because we are still feasting and having the lifting of the Amyrlin party still very much in high spirits. Kickstand man is still a
month, is it?
Yeah, kickstand man is still swinging those kegs around, and
he's still on his hands. He hasn't gotten down yet.
Chugging it. So Matt goes for a bit of a dance. He sees there's way too many Aes Sedai around, but it's a nice-looking girl. Then asks him quite a few questions, dance with him, but didn't quite enjoy dancing with her that much because she kept taking the lead.
I know, it's
Gosh,
so
Matt,
good.
I wonder why. Okay. And with that, while Matt is at this dance party where none of his friends are present at all, his fox head goes ice cold, and he then glares at Halima, whom obviously cannot channel Salidar. Then there's a lot of reference to a poem about trust. I trust you read the poem, and the title of it and the words have changed over time. Then they are singing, apparently in one of Matt's past lives or in his memories of past lives. He was the songwriter of one of the songs that was also playing in this dance party that's going down in Salidar. Now he gets cornered by Myrelle, who tries to butter him up, which he just is like, no thanks, not interested in being a warder. It turns out that everyone wants Verin for a warder, so Matt is constantly batting off Aes Sedai, like someone swatting mozzies in the swamps. Matt decides to dance with a pretty blue-eyed girl standing across the tower, some young woman, but it turns out to be Swan. As he tries to chat her up, she drops the reality on him and how she said that he should maybe go and find someone else to dance with. But Liana is quite keen to step in with her Damani ways, and she swings Matt around the dance floor and then kisses him more deeply he's ever been kissed. I mean, at that moment when that kiss dropped, his toes curled over like backwards, like in the cartoons. Anyway, Matt then at that decides, stuff this. Too many Aes Sedai rings around, and he goes to go to bed in the stables with his saddle as a pillow. Only to wake up to find Vannon has returned, and Matt's real warder has also made his way into the camp overnight in the shape of young Alva, who is convinced still that Avienda is going to knife him. Therefore, he has to be there to watch his back, because there's not enough people around there to watch backs. Matt has now, through all of this, obviously through seeing Swan and realizing that he is the real Swan, and Liana, that their story of healing, and that Nynaeve did it, which was also quite a big shock for Matt. Now the days drag on; they're really making him sit and sweat. These Emerald Seat and her ladies. But Matt gets summoned to go and see Egwene. It's Egwene, Nynaeve, Elayne, and Avienda in the room, and basically gets handed a choice: bugger off or go to Ebou Dar, because that's the options available. But his buggering off doesn't mean that he gets to take anyone or anything with him. It's quite simply you're going to fail in your quest of whatever Rand is that's sent to bring Elayne back. So he is very much between a rock and a hard place there. And this drags out to a third day. Matt has now finally been able to communicate again with the band. So he's got Tilmanis, which is riding in and out. They set up band camp police to keep everyone in line and in check.
I love band camp.
And Nalisian Matt has now made his decision. Okay, cool. I'll probably going to do this, and he gets Nalisian to come with him because he's got knowledge of Ebou Dar, and we've got this ragtag team that got put together now that's going to be heading out, including, of course, Alva is in the party. There's no way he can get rid of him. If he's going to leave him behind, he's just going to follow like a dog half an hour later. So just might as well plan him in there. And of course,
that would be hard considering they're going through a gateway.
Yeah, that is true. I didn't think of that. Well, Oliver is a determined boy, so he might just ride and get there very, very late.
Yeah,
And
he
rock
knows
up.
they're going to Ebou Dar.
Mm. All right, so for Nynaeve's sort of in charge of their little faction, which is Nynaeve and Elayne, Vandine and Adelaus that will be accompanying them. Of course, Vandine's warder, whose name I was supposed to write down and never got in there because they just call him warder. And of course, the second warder that is with is Bagit, who
Hmm.
Matt is still very sus about, like this hunter for the horn with the same name, carrying a bow. Like it's all just too sus. And of course, Tom and Julian, who have now finally been allowed to speak to Matt, and both really sheepishly apologizing for the fact that they have been away or here hiding from him under instruction of their
Mm.
masters, it would seem. Oh, sorry, Nynaeve and Elayne, as some would call
You're
them.
not wrong.
Hmm.
Tom talks about Aludra and goes down this whole side story about friends and enemies, but Matt misses the point completely, cracks a joke about what about instead of a friend of an enemy for her to be a lover, and thinks about the fireworks that he got from her. That's typical Matt. Love it.
Well, Tom says that you never know with a woman whether she could be a friend, an enemy, or even a lover until it's too late. Take, for example, Aludra. When we met her again on her travels, she wasn't a friend. She wanted to not know anything about them. And I'd forgotten that they had actually met before and then met again. Is it in Van and Luca's circus?
Yes.
Like where did Tom meet Aludra again? And then Matt goes, "Oh, Aludra, yeah, I'll take her for a lover." And I think he flirts with her quite extensively when they do travel together later. But yeah,
Yeah,
that
he
is
does.
just Matt
Oh yeah,
being
there's a
Matt.
whole Matt and Aludra section still coming. I'm actually quite looking forward to
Aludra
it.
is not interested. She does not.
Nope.
All right, so to carry on where we were there, Matt is just trying to think how long the side quest of theirs are going to be now. As a quick hop and a jump to Ebou Dar, really in and out, pick up some
Hmm.
cutlery and crockery and get out of there. Thinking 10 days, and Tom's like, no, probably going to be riding 3 days there and 3 days back. And Matt's quite unhappy with this. It's like, this is not
Hmm.
the part of the timeline that I had in mind. Like, this is not cool. Um, Egwene then comes to see all of them off. There's a little pipe up, and I can't remember the exact comment, but the two rivers people are really looking out for each other. Like they'll give each
Hmm.
other a lot of flack, but don't let anyone else say
Hmm.
anything. And it's sort of Matt thinking about these women are not going to control Egwene. Like, no, he's everyone better watch out.
Matt says when they're walking out of Salidar to meet them, Egwene looks like she might as well be alone. She looks alone. So what he does is he goes over to her and he makes a big show of showing her respect and everything. And Egwene whispers to him, "Thanks, Matt." You know, like it's a real tender little moment. Because Matt thinks to himself, these people can't treat a Two Rivers woman like that. This is bullshit. I'll show them. And then he goes home and he makes a big show
Exactly.
about it.
So yes, Matt does all that pleasantries, and the thank you, Matt, as you said, Mo, comes up in there afterwards. Um, Matt is asked to stay out of trouble, which is a trigger for him. He's kind of, and I think this is a part of that build up
Trigger
that
warning.
we're going to see of the girls really treating Matt as a second class citizen almost.
When have they not?
Well, yeah, they have never recognized him, but we're going to see that now be sort of amped up to this breakthrough of recognition. And no, it comes later with a
Eventually they apologize.
yeah. Eventually, they do apologize and all of that. But yes, it's gateway opens. It's gateway. It's Matt is not quite pleased at the size of the gateway that has been made for them. So he tells everyone to dismount because we'll have to lead the horses through,
Hmm.
which is quite
What
funny.
he does is he tells the men to mount up, then the girls confer and create the gateway, and it's too short for them. And he's like, okay, dismount. And I'm pretty sure they did it on purpose. I mean, this is Elayne making it, right? Like, one of the top 3 female channelers in the world can't make a gateway tall enough. And it's mentioned that they talk together like quietly before making the gateway. And it's after Matt has told the men to mount.
Part of this whole
Everything's a power play.
Well up Matt. Look, let's
To what end? Guys, come on. He's an ally.
He's an ally, but just jealousy, I suppose. Like he got an army, he just gets everything falling in his lap. Gold ladies.
They have a big army. I don't think they're jealous of him. He's so handsome.
So handsome. He had the golden dagger, the ruby ones. Okay, there was some
jealous of that one.
Yeah, there was some horse talk during that period of time. I always note horse talk. Matt will always bring a little bit of a horse talk.
It's great.
And they are southward bound. And then we jump to a quick Egwene point of reference. And just really saying that she sees Talmani's heading out and saying like, ooh, that guy's trouble. And pretty much gets instructed that get horses, let's get moving. We got to catch up with Gareth Bryn. And that's the end of that chapter.
Okay.
And off we go.
Joseph, anything you want to call out there?
No, I'm going to call out more of it's the anti-Matt sentiment carrying on by these women, but there's more of that coming.
Oh,
it's
going to be like we're going to go through what I've picked up is that there's always this one saw point. It's kind of like one bed saw in the story, and that bed saw changes like book, sometimes a volume and a half over a volume and a half. Like at first we had apple carts, and we sat through that saw point
for like a couple chapters. That was
then we've got it's not fair, Egwene. It's not fair. Oh, then we go into Nynaeve power trippy. So I mean, we always have this saw point, and I think this is going to be our scab that we're going to have for a while now. Matt being abused and used quite deliberately by everyone around him in this Ebou Dar, because this goes all the way to the end of the next book, nearly, when there's the big showdown.
I mean, in Ebou Dar, eventually he becomes a sex slave.
Yes, very much. Yeah. I've just finished all of that, so it's kind of me preempting us all for. We're going to have a lot of Matt beating over the next couple of shows. I'm
interested to read that section. A lot of people online have very vocal opinions about that and have gone very hard into the paint to like commenting on what they think of Robert Jordan because of those chapters. So we'll get there. I'm looking at them with more mature eyes than I did when I was reading this in high school.
Looking through the holy text with the glasses on, the glasses of wisdom.
Stroking my beard and writing my spectacles that I do not own.
Moving your grey hair from your face.
Lucky you.
Yes. Okay, so without hanging on the Matt abuse, I did enjoy. I mean, Matt asks for it, right? When he takes over the stables, he hangs the banners on the outside, expecting there to be like a request to have them taken down or something. It's just him being confronting and being Matt, like, okay, cool. Let's see what happens when I hang this dragon banner outside this stable. But nothing does. People sort of point and stare, but they don't ever actually ask him to take it down.
Yeah, but look, you hanging banners and then physically going after somebody is two different things. Like Matt's, I'm staying here. These are my banners. I'm sure it's provocative.
I know.
On purpose.
I'm not drawing a line between the two at
way.
all. I'm not doing that at all. I'm
just defending Matt.
No, I'm completely like Matt did that, and he was upset that it didn't ruffle feathers.
I know.
But the
he's trying
whole
to get
time,
a rise
the
out
thing
of
that
people.
I couldn't get out of my head was, is that the blue barn? Is it the one that they spent the paint on to paint blue back a few chapters ago?
No, that's at the White Tower.
Oh, is that at the White Tower? Oh shit! I thought it was at this tower.
No.
Oh man.
No.
Damn it.
The white and blue tower. Now, what else? Okay, cool. Confirmed here. The medallion does prevent flows of Sidin as well as Salidar. Halima tries to channel at him and is shocked to see that it has no effect. Yes, suck a dick, Halima.
So
Um,
so because that went over my head. So Halima,
Yeah.
who is
wasn't her.
Asangar, who spelled Tamil.
Yes.
Yes, I
Ding,
got
ding,
it.
ding. Full marks.
Channeled at Matt as a
And Matt
test,
catches a glimpse
or
of her looking at him and she's
looking.
got shock on her face.
But I was just at that moment, I was like, didn't even think to me that the medallion would stop Sidene.
Well,
Like I wanted the way
we
to be
didn't know.
free of
We've never
these
seen.
wretched. Okay, Age of Legend, Aes Sedai was men and women. So asking those freaks that would have said, okay, cool, Aes Sedai is not just women.
Those freaks, yeah. I don't think he asked to be free of Aes Sedai. I think he said he wants to be free of the one power. I think was his words. We'd have to call back on this.
Ooh, Jody, that's yours.
Ooh, that's yours.
Oh, shit. I'm going to start looking now. Otherwise, I'll never do it.
Make a note.
Make a note now.
The amount of
Turning
times,
Kindle on.
the amount of times I've asked you guys to do a call back and just got nothing and had to do
I
it
just
myself
like to answer
anyway.
it right away.
Is
It's like homework
significant.
significant.
I also have a note here. Of course, Brigitte is dancing with, as Matt puts it, a particularly lumpy-faced fellow. Loves an ugly dude. And this is where Matt says his hip still hurt. Nynaeve kicked him in the hip.
Okay.
That's why I was limping and it's still sore.
Nah, I've already found it.
Hey,
I don't have to call back.
amazing.
As a result, Matt accidentally made 3 wishes. 1, to have the holes in his memory filled. 2, to be free from the one power and Aes Sedai. So and 3, to be away from the elfin and return to Rhuidean if they would not answer his questions.
Okay. Well, there we go.
Second one power and Aes Sedai.
There we go.
So he covered all his bases.
Accidentally. Lucky Matt.
Yeah.
That's his
Does
thing.
that okay? Would that extend to the true power then?
It's unknown.
No.
It says one power and
Well,
Aes
his wish
Sedai.
is one power and Aes Sedai. So, probably
It
not.
doesn't cover true power. He didn't even know that true power existed, so
No. None of them do at this point.
no.
Vil, you sort of glossed over it, but Myrelle asks Matt to be his be her water.
Water, yeah.
That's typical Myrelle. Loves a water. Already, she's got Lan. Lan would be heading over there at the moment, right?
Yeah.
He is.
How many books has Leanne been missing for? When did we see him again?
We see
yeah.
Lan in
He wanders into town.
about 700 pages.
Okay.
And
All right. I actually remember that from reading it the first time as well. Like, oh, Lan is back. Wow, he's been missing for ages. Yeah, here he is.
he took the long way round. He didn't take Gateway. He took the
No.
horse through the hills.
Did a lot of soul searching, a lot of processing of emotion. Just lost his Aes Sedai. Leanne kisses Matt again. Quote, as thoroughly as he's ever been kissed.
Mm-hmm.
Like big old French kiss right in front of everybody. I know she's Domani, but she's also Aes Sedai. So this Aes
also an
Sedai
Aes
is
Sedai of
just
the
kissing this
green
man in front of
Aja.
everyone.
Who wants him as a
She was
warder.
also doing cake stands earlier, so inhibitions are out the window.
No, she has chosen the green Aja. She wants a warder. And she is
Leanne.
into Matt. Yeah.
I don't think she asks him to be a warder.
No, you're right.
And the Greens aren't necessarily promiscuous. And there are other Domani Aes Sedai that don't just make out with people in public. Leanne is
it's
just,
Matt.
I think she's overcorrecting. She's just like leaning into her stuff now for the first time in years that she's repressed.
Yeah, she's been repressing shit for many, many years. Had this section in her life where she fully embraced it and realized, fuck, why have I been repressing this? And now she's back to Aes Sedai. She's like, well, fuck it. I'm not going to pretend to be someone I'm not anymore. This is who I am. Deal with it, everybody at this party.
I dig it. Good for you, Leanne. Go for it.
Yeah, you be you, man.
You do you. When Vannon mentions to Matt that he's seeing people like packing food into barrels and that sort of stuff, Matt thinks that these are signs of trouble, the worst sort of trouble. The worst sort of trouble short of finding a Forsaken on the other side of the table from you and Trollocs, blah, blah, blah. Newsflash, Matt, you just danced with one of the Forsaken.
Yeah.
Another note here, Avienda in a blue dress with lace. Hello. I don't remember her taking on the Wetlander fashion at all, but here it is.
I think they dressed her. The Aes Sedai dressed her. They kidnapped her for like days. Put her in a blue dress.
Then there's also mention here of Lopen, who's Nalessian's manservant.
Mm-hmm.
So we know Nerim obviously is Talmanes' manservant, and Talmanes insists that Nerim has to go with Matt. If Nalessian is going to be there needs to be Kyrenian representation as well. It can't just have the Terran. I'm pretty sure that Lopen also eventually becomes Matt's like manservant or something. I remember reading his name quite a lot at one point. In fact, isn't it because Nalessian dies in Ebou Dar? I think the golem kills him. And Lopen stays on with Matt.
Dude, don't say stuff like that to me.
Pin.
Because those two are just like the best. Those two manservants.
Nerim and Lopen.
And Nerim and Lopen, from now on, they are just like trying to outdo each other all the time.
Oh, that's
they're
right.
kind of buddies because they're
right. Yeah,
they're on the same, like they have the same kind of job. There's only two of them, so they got to stick together. But they're always trying to outdo each other, and they had to get all this food. It comes up in the chapter.
Yeah, yes, it does. It's pretty comical.
It's great. I love it. It's and it's very Nerim's very dry, like as my lord commands.
He's Kyrenian. Of course he is. I like that Myrelle gives Matt permission to communicate with the band again. In the meantime, Vannon's been like up and down between the band and like delivering messages and stuff the whole time.
I mean,
love that.
There is stuff to be said about those warders. I mean, they're keeping ice, but Oliver got in there. Vannon is in and out. I mean,
yeah, there's something to be said for Vannon's.
That's Aes Sedai, you know. They think they control everything you do.
They do. Then we have another Tom comment about Moraine and another clue about his feelings for her. So that part that we spoke about earlier where he says sometimes you don't know if a woman is a friend, an enemy, or a lover until it's too late. Yeah. So Tom is obviously reflecting on, because it's after Matt mentions the letter. Like, what happened with that letter? Was it a woman that you had left behind or something? You know, like, and then he goes down this track. And then Tom tells this story, like gives this example about Eludra and all that sort of stuff. And at this point, like even as a first-time reader, you know that the letter Matt gave Tom is from Moiraine. And you are seeing Tom react the way he does when Matt gives it to him. And here talking about like, you know, when they're talking about the letter, you don't have a woman's a friend or an enemy or a lover. So your assumption in the beginning is that Moiraine is Tom's enemy. But here he's introducing the concept of her being a friend or even a lover. And it's just like, the beauty of the rereads here, like every time I read something like this, I'm like, okay, yes, so the Moiraine-Tom relationship doesn't just come out of thin air. Here it is, books in advance already, right? Like we saw their interaction in the Stone of Tyr. We see it again here when Matt gives in the letter. We see it again when they talk about the letter. It's not out of nowhere. It's actually, if you were paying attention, it's right there in front of you. Which is cool. That was one of my biggest gripes originally when I read that revelation the first time. I also thought, like the vast majority of people out there, where the fuck did this come from? Come on, RJ, like seriously, this is unbelievable. And now on the reread, I'm like, okay, no, yeah, here it is, right here in front of me.
Because they remember when they were in the Stone of Tyr and they were having those little meetings, and, you know, how they formed a connection there. Back in the day, so there were little moments. The
things that happened in Tyr that really got me is when Tom says that Moiraine often laughed at his jokes.
Oh, that's a surefire sign.
when does Moiraine ever laugh at anything? Never.
Let alone jokes.
So if it's plural as well, it happened more than once. So it's like, okay, yep. There's definitely something brewing there, and it's very, very subtle. I mean, admittedly, it is extremely fucking subtle. But yeah, in these chapters, like talking about the letter from Moiraine, Tom is having these reactions and these responses. Yes, obviously he's got some kind of feelings, and he's conflicted about it because he's talking about like, is she an enemy or a friend? And you could even tell in the interactions in the Stone that he was also conflicted about it. I like that Matt thinks when talking about women, he says, I used to think that Rand knew, but Perrin definitely does. Like Rand is now no longer on the table. You know how they always go, oh, Rand and Perrin always knew how to talk to girls. But with all this stuff, like the women that Rand is surrounding himself with, Matt is losing faith in Rand. He's like, I used to think that Rand knew, But Perrin definitely does. Forget Rand. He's fucking up big time.
Yeah.
Perrin is the one that knows.
Because he knows that he is not an Elayne fan at all.
No. Or Avienda.
No, I think he doesn't know Avienda. He thinks she's just an Aiel and she's going to kill Elayne.
And he thinks that she's going to kill Rand. You know, like he's got serious trust issues with Aiel woman for very
it was just going to bring in, like,
Yeah.
let's just put it all into perspective of what went down with his Aiel love.
Yes.
Yeah.
What else? Egwene says at the end of this thing, when we switch to her point of view, that Mat's band had served its first purpose. What was that?
Drive everyone into gear.
Yes. Light a fire under their Aes Sedai's asses to get them to move.
You can't sit here. Like, look, one army just popped up on your doorstep.
Interesting. I thought it might also have something to do with Romanda and Leanne, because in that stanza, like that last section, Romanda says, okay, cool, let's get, that's not the kind of man that you want to be anywhere near. And Elayne agrees with her. And that's the first time we've read about Romanda and Leanne agreeing about anything. Like, maybe as a common enemy, it makes them a bit stronger by, unifying the Aes Sedai and their forces.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's the big challenge for her to get the army moving, to get them moving on Tar Valon. Like, this is and who says it? Was it Shiriam that says it? That, okay, because once you make that decision, it's like the Tau is split. Like, that whole thing comes around. So, having, I think, just the reality for them, like, they've been sitting there, the whole bloody world knows they're there. Like, everyone, even the bloody white cloaks know that they're sitting there. So,
might as well move.
Here's the reality: armies can just pop up on your doorstep. The world is very small now. All of a sudden,
yeah. Swan says to Egwene, she should use the band as her own, like, personal protection. Like, she can run to them for protection if she needs to. I didn't know how the mechanics of that would really work. Like, what would that mean for Egwene? Protection from whom? Like, the rest of the Aes Sedai or from the outside world? Don't know. But another thing that Swan says there is that she had told Egwene that she was trying to make things obvious for Vannon to find out. But by the time she'd made it obvious to him, he'd already ferreted it out before. Like, there was stuff that she wanted to sort of drip feed him, but she found that he already knew all the things that she was trying to drip feed him. Because she knew that Vannon is Matt's sort of spy master, information courier type.
I suppose he's a spy master, eh?
Mm-hmm. And I just thought that was cool. Like,
and he's not a baller.
Okay, I'm going to drip feed this guy some stuff, and he already knows everything. Don't worry. He's been running messages under your warders' noses. This horse thief knows exactly what he's doing. All righty then. Anything else from you guys before we stride on?
Let's stride on swiftly.
Okay, let's stride on then to chapter 45, called A Bitter Thought. What could possibly be bitter about the return of Perrin, Jody?
Well, certainly this beer is not bitter.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't hear that.
You didn't hear it?
No.
It'll come through in the recording. The beer is slightly bitter, as it should be. All right. So, yeah. Everybody rejoice. Perrin is back. After
is that why you're cracking a beer?
1,500 pages. Yes, I'm having a beer for Perrin. Cheers, Perrin.
Damn, now you make me feel out, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's a nice beer. All right, so Vilnar. We're in Vilnar's point of view. He is
good old Vilnar.
A Saldane. Oh, Vilnar. We've de toda la vida, as they say in Spanish. Like you're like something or someone you've known your whole life. There he is. He is leading his mounted patrol around the new city in Caemlyn. He's letting his thoughts wander around, and he gets to the White Bridge Gate, and he looks through it, and he sees a long column of really bunch of weirdos approaching. Bunch of farmers and carrying longbows, and there's a couple of Aiel with them, although he's used to Aiel by now. And there's a Tuathan. There's a dude, but he's wearing a sword on his back. It's just like, what? Are my eyes deceiving me? What's going on here? And then there's one of the guys is carrying a banner in front of him, and it's like red and white, and it's got a wolf head on the front. And then he recognizes a woman that is riding right in the front of the column, next to a very beefy boy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh, dear Lord.
Not
and
her.
Gets his men and deploys them.
Run, everybody
to the gate.
She found us.
Uh-oh, I know who that is. All right, so then he darts off to gets his men, and they head off to the gate to go and meet this column. And we switch over to Perrin's point of view for the first time in a long, long time. Welcome back, my beefy boy. We have missed you sorely. Perrin draws rein before the city gate, and he smells a little something from Aiel that is very reminiscent of anxiety, as he notices that all these people at the gate, all the guards and the people behind them, there's a lot of Saldaeans in town. And he's like, oh, okay, probably, she's just, excited or scared a bit, hesitant of seeing all these Saldaeans around. Aram is there. And he is suggesting straight away that we should just cut our way through all of these soldiers.
Jeez, he swung hard.
Such a bloodlust, man. He's
completely the
pinnacle of that person that just swings from the one extreme to the other extreme.
Yeah,
it's like that mate that you have. Like the one day you see him and he's rocking like crazy emo clothing and Doc Martens, and then the next day
you're that mate.
Oh, shit.
And then the next day, he's a reborn Christian.
Okay, no, that's not really anymore.
Bay.
Yes,
no,
yeah.
You live in J Bay, man.
Yeah.
It's like every third friend.
Yes.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, we get it. This is Aram. Aram is that guy. All right, he's just gone hardcore. But he's not the only one, because he turns around, like Perrin turns around, and Gaul's already failed as well. Gaul's like, let's kill some people. Like, and Perrin's like, whoa, everybody chill the fuck out, please. Everybody just relax. I'll just go and talk to them. How about we try our words first before we start killing people? So he goes up to the gate and introduces himself, and, tells them who he is. They tell him, of course, that nobody's allowed to enter the city gate with more than 20 armed men or with 50 servants. So they give him all the rules. Like, there's too many of you guys here with weapons. So Perrin tells the Two Rivers people and Aram, it's like, dude, maybe you should stay behind. Just for a moment. Go and make camp at that clearing we passed a couple of miles back. Everybody hang out. I'll go inside. We'll sort everything out, and then we'll take it from there, so that there's not too much killing and bloodshed. So immediately when he comes in, he asks it to be led to Rand. He's like, I'm Perrin. You should know me. I'm all buddies with this Dragon Reborn guy. Take me to him. Bane and Chiad are there. They decide, look, we got to go. I think it's just customary as well for the Aiel. When they meet other Aiel again, they have to go hang out with their societies. They have to go check in. So they bugger off as well. And then Gaul eventually does as well. He figures, well, I'm not going with Bane and Chiad, so I'll go to my guys. He's a stone dog, isn't he? If I remember correctly. Gaul?
I think so.
Yeah, he is.
I think he is. So obviously they're going back to their societies just to go and hang out and drink some usquai and, catch up. So they're moving on to the palace. Perrin notices as well that Vilnar is pretending like he doesn't know who Aiel is. He's doing it so blatantly that it's obvious that he knows who she is.
It's like, if you
and he's looking
don't
at them,
give her any signs that we recognize her, maybe she won't just leave us alone.
Because, he knows. Vilnar's figuring like, he knows that his commander-in-chief is, missing his daughter. And he has his daughter. Like, I don't want to be in the middle of this reunion. I don't want to be at all anywhere near any of these two people at this moment. But yeah, they're both just completely ignoring each other. And Perrin has immediately noticed that they must know each other. They get to the palace and they get taken to Rand's rooms. And they meet, and it's a nice little reunion. Rand is super stoked to see Perrin, and Perrin and him have a nice little chat. Perrin's surprised that that Rand already knows about his marriage to Aiel. He's like, "Oh, congratulations, and so glad that you guys are there." But of course, he learned that from the two Rivers girls that are in Caemlyn that came with Verin and Allana, so he explains all of that stuff there. And Perrin is, of course, super stoked to see Min, and Min is extremely stoked to see Perrin, and just runs up and hugs him with much love. Much to Fael's dislike. Like, I think to Perrin, the stench of her jealousy just fills the room. He's like, all right, that's enough hugging, Min. Perhaps for your own sake, you should let go of me now. But I'm just thinking as well, like the last time that he saw Min was up when they were hiding in the mountains.
So I thought as well, yeah.
Was that Yeah, it's been a long time since they have seen each other.
Didn't Perrin think mistakenly that Min had a thing for him?
Possibly. Yes, he did. And yes, up
She's
in the
like,
mountains.
no, you idiot, not
Yes.
you. Relax. I love you like a
No,
brother.
Not you. Yeah. So anyway, he's over that, but Fael was not part of that conversation. So she is like, "You'll be touching my man. You're going to be dead soon." So, Perrin doesn't sense this. He smells it, and he's like, "All right, that's enough hugging." Rand and Perrin speak, a little bit of the two rivers. They have an old catch-up session. They talk about Loyal as well. And at this point, we find out that Loyal is walking back. He didn't. He went for a detour to that old forgotten steading because he was having a bit of the longing. So they say like, well, he's a few days behind us. I think the bet was like 10 days or something with Loyal that he wouldn't be there faster than he thinks he would, and he's like, no, I'll be there faster than 10 days. But we find out, I think, a few chapters time. So while Fael and Min speak about Rand and Perrin and how they excuse themselves, and then like Fael's like, all right, like the ladies are going to go talk, we leave the men alone, kind of a situation, and off they go, split up to their little sections. And then when Perrin and Rand are alone, Rand immediately asks Perrin if he would go to Tyr for him. Like, it's not even like they literally haven't been in the room together 5 minutes, and he's like, all right, I need you to bugger off now. And Perrin's like, no, I just got you. I'm not going anywhere. I'm married now. I've got, the two Rivers men and everything. I'm not going anywhere. I've just arrived. So then Rand, starts telling him about all the shit. It's like, look, dude, I'm not trying to be a dick about things, but, I've got the Forsaken to worry about. I've got Dragon Sworn. I don't know if you know about the Prophet. It's like, when Perrin's like, yeah, I know about the Prophet. Like, a whole bunch of shit going down. I need you to do what needs to be done. Also, this is when Perrin finds out that Moraine is dead, and of course that the White Tower has really split. So there's a big info dump here, and a lot of catching up going on. All right. So after a while, they start speaking about the two rivers again after this awkward thing, but it's the conversation's already dead, and Perrin is ready to leave at this point. So before he leaves, Rand just tells him like, listen, just think about Tyr and heading down there and go speak to your wife about it and all those kind of things. And basically that's how the chapter ends. But there are a few things that I'm sure some notes have been taken about during this conversation. That we Maybe.
What are your notes,
reunion
Vil?
time.
Not too much on that one. Perrin's back. That's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Fael is still jealous,
Yeah.
which is normal. Yeah.
I think all the juicy bits happen in the next chapter.
Doesn't Rand...
That's the chapter.
Rand does ask Perrin about the two rivers, right? It's like, tell me about Eamonsfield.
Yeah.
Is that in this chapter?
Yes. And they have that whole catch-up session.
Yes, and it's like, Lord Perrin, what does Mistress Luan think of that? And Perrin's like, she bows. And Rand's like, what? Elspeth Luan bowing? That is crazy. And then they talk for a while, and Rand does actually act like, like old Rand again. But then
Old Rand.
But then he makes a comment like, I can't protect you or Matt. And it's the Batman/Spider-Man defense thing again. Like, anyone that's near me is a target, that sort of thing. And that just downers the whole conversation. And that's when, it falls to pieces.
But it's cool, like when he walks in, like Rand's like, oh my god,
Yeah.
everybody's like, oh, like old school. It was all like, it's not like he hasn't gone complete. Like he goes to bad Rand, that's pretty soon, I think, when he starts falling to the dark side a bit. But he hasn't got there yet, and he's super stoked. Like I was so stoked to see Min when she arrived. Now Perrin's there, and he's so happy. It's just so good to see Rand happy and old Rand a bit,
Literally laughing.
for a while.
Yeah.
Even if it's with
Catching up and
madness.
stuff.
But you also get a reminder here, as he says to Perrin, like, you remember how Tom used to juggle those balls? That's what I'm doing. I'm juggling so much shit right now. And he rattles off a couple things. And you're like, oh, fuck yeah. Actually, he does. I mean, I know Dragon Reborn, save the world, blah, blah. But yes, there's a lot of moving pieces. And he's concerned about all of them and influencing all of them. And he's got so many pieces moving at the same time. It's really.
And then he tells, like he should have waited to ask Perrin about Tia.
Probably.
Well, almost command Perrin. But like you said, he's juggling so many things. And also, you got to remember, he's been sitting in Caemlyn now for how many books? Like, he needs to move. Like, he's been stagnant for too long.
Well, between Cairhien and...
Oh, Caemlyn, yeah. Caemlyn and Cairhien.
And probably Tia, because they mentioned at one point he's in 3 cities in a day.
In his own little hideaway places.
Yeah, but he needs to get out. He needs to get... Elayne in there and carry on with other things.
That's why he's so desperate. Like he doesn't know who to leave in charge other than Elayne. Like he needs her to take charge and to take charge of Cairhien at the same time. Like he wants to give her both thrones and go, deal with this while I deal with the fucking Forsaken and everything else that's coming down my neck.
Yeah, I think Tia is the next big thing, because now he had Mat going to Tia, but he had to detour those plans. Now Perrin's here. Oh, sweet. You can do the Tia thing. Because the next thing on my plate is Samael.
Well, what he's alluding to here is that he needs one of his known allies to be in Tia to make it look like that is the actual plan to attack from Tia.
Exactly.
And he says something like, you would be only the 3rd or 4th person to know the actual plan, the real plan. And
the only plan, it's only Rand, Mat,
Dabram,
Bashir, and now Perrin that know.
Right. Maybe Ruach? Not even.
I don't even know if Ruach is
I think the clan chiefs are still in the dark, because the
Remember,
clan chiefs are like, why are you fucking around with Weramon
Cairhien.
and all that shit?
They're all up there.
They're all that side.
No, they're marching from there to Ilion. They're on the border of Cairhien, marching to Ilion to draw Samael's attention.
Yeah, and Samael's not going to buy it if it's not one of the top 3 O's.
Yeah, the Taverin
on the doorstep on his yeah. Samael's too smart for that.
General and battle planner.
The only smart Forsaken.
And
he still dies.
They all do.
Next book.
Yes. Have we ever read the word bully boy in these books before? No?
Bully boy. I don't even remember reading. Is it in this chapter?
It's from Vilnar. Like he thinks of bully boys in town and something. So I thought maybe it was like another one of those RJ, like we're in a Saldaean's head. Maybe he's using Saldaean slang, right? Like maybe in Saldaea, that is a term that they use for like street toughs or, like people that throw their weight around in the street. But then Vilnar also thinks Maiden's Kiss sounded innocent enough.
That's what everybody thinks.
Do you guys remember what Maiden's Kiss is?
That you don't play it.
Do you remember how it works?
Yeah.
The rules of it.
Can't remember.
It involves knives, I believe.
I also always knew that, but I thought, let me just go read, how do you play Maiden's Kiss? Tell me again. So here it goes. Maiden's Kiss is started when a group of maidens surround a man, or on occasion a woman, and with their spears either pointed at or pressed against the player's throat, each maiden takes a turn kissing the victim. And if the kiss satisfies, they move their spear away slightly. If not, they inch it closer to encourage a better kiss. All the participating maidens take at least one turn. So if there's a bunch of you're like kissing all these women, and if they don't like what you're doing, the spears get driven into your neck slowly but surely.
Holy shit, RJ.
Not so innocent, Vilnar.
No.
Steer clear.
It's like a gang rape or something. Jesus.
It is. It's literally that. I think Mat, when someone tricks Mat into suggesting that he play it, like Ruach or someone does earlier, and later in a later scene, Mat has like blood on his neck or something from playing Maiden's Kiss. Another thing the Saldaeans think of is, or what that Vilnar says here is, they think of the Aes Sedai as immortal. He refers to them as the ageless face of an immortal. So I thought that was maybe like a little glimpse into how Saldaeans regard Aes Sedai. because they're not immortal. I mean, they do live very long lives, but they're certainly not immortal. And Perrin has no smell of fear from the Saldaeans. There's 10 of them. Perrin's got a column of soldiers with Aiel and, you know, all kinds of armed men, and no fear from the Saldaeans. And there's just 10 of them.
Well, also, you know, of course, they're borderlanders, number one.
Mm-hmm.
2, they're clearly farmers with bows. So, I mean, if you're a Saldaean and you look at a bunch of farmers with longbows, you're like, oh, okay. Hunting, maybe, and it doesn't really matter. I don't think they would be afraid. And they're used to Aiel. The whole fucking city's full of Aiel.
That's true.
They're used to them by now. So, but still, no, I get what you're saying. But they are, like, trained.
How many men does
borderland
Perrin have with him?
soldiers, you know.
400,
I
500.
think it's like... No, I don't think it's that much.
I think he's only,
I'll have to double
I think
check,
he's
but
only
it's
allowed
in
to
the-
keep 50. Like any force larger than
He's
50.
only allowed 20 soldiers and 50 servants.
Ah.
And I think he's got over 100 crossbowmen, longbowmen. I'll have to double check consult the official
Text, the
Text.
scriptures.
the scriptures.
Gotta love those Two Rivers archers.
Love it.
I had made the same note about Aram, just like saying we should just cut through them. Okay, easy, Aram. But then
Yep.
Perrin tells Gaul not to do anything, but he doesn't even bother talking to Bane and Chiad because they don't listen to him. Only Fael. And then eventually, when they're given leave to pass, Bane and Chiad pass through the Saldaeans as if they're not even there. Like, just don't care about these horse guys. We stopped because Fael stopped, and now we will continue moving. And then when Gaul sort of chases after them, with a weak excuse, you mentioned that he wants to catch up with his clan. Perrin sort of like, he knows why Gaul is hurrying after Bane and Chiad. It's because he's following Chiad, really.
Mm-hmm.
And then Perrin sort of takes that moment to think about the odd situation with Gaul wanting Chiad to propose to him. And then he thinks, but also somehow, I don't understand, but Bane is also wrapped up in this somehow. So I think Bane and Chiad are first sisters.
Yes, they're first sisters, and they became first sisters because there's the clans that had blood feud or something to
Yes.
like.
So it means that if Chiad had to marry Gaul, there's an open door for Bane to also marry Gaul. And that's how she's sort of wrapped into it. And when Perrin thinks about talking to Fael about it, she's a little too quick to deny knowing what was going on. And I think it's because Fael doesn't want to introduce the idea to Perrin of a man having more than one wife. Like, I don't know what they're talking about. This is weird. Yeah, no, you're right. Let's not talk about the weirdness around Bane and Chiad and Gaul.
Look, in the book, in the holy text, it says, a long column of farmers 4 abreast on horseback made the bulk of it. 4 abreast, long column. Doesn't say exactly how many of these Two Rivers people are there, but
Well, it's a long column.
that could be 100.
Men long.
At least 100. At least.
That's
I
formidable.
mean, if it's 100 long, could be 400. But are there that many young men that could leave the Two Rivers now?
Well, now, yes.
Surely they should leave a garrison. Maybe.
Remember, Two Rivers is not just Eamon's Field either. It's all the way from Tarrant Ferry through Watch Hill, Devon Ride, all those places.
Oh, Tarrant Ferry's decimated. There's no one there.
It's rebuilt.
This bloody sprawling metropolis at the moment with refugees, man. They've got farming innovations being
And all the
put
people
up
coming
and
in. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's
all
a
the
whole different
refugees
scene.
coming over the mountains. Yeah, man. It's a metropolis now.
Perrin also notes that Rand is tired. Looks tired. Everyone commenting on it now. Must be very obvious.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure that a couple episodes ago we were speculating, and I know that for a fact recently we spoke about how old is Sorelia. Don't know, a couple 100 years. We said older than Cadswain, but I'm sure that earlier we had also speculated around like, how old is Sulin again? Like her physical description says she's got a leathery face and like a sun darkened scar or something like that. But here we hear that someone actually says she could be old enough to be Chiad's grandmother. So she's old with white hair. Like Sulin is an old maiden.
Marriage never crossed her mind. Putting down that spear, never.
Was never
I'll
gonna
die
happen.
with the spear in my hand.
Yeah.
Never. What happens to her? Do we Does anybody in this group know?
And she
I
gets-
feel,
Sulin.
When
I feel
Rand
like the
gets
fandom
taken,
feel like she was done dirty by RJ, like she's played a big role and then later just sort of takes a back seat and you don't have an adequate ending for her.
She deserves better. I don't know what she got, but whatever it was, it should have been better.
Yeah. Especially with the attention she's getting now for like being, you know, in the palace livery and like her constant to and fro with Rand about the maiden's honor and stuff. I mean, that's a big theme. So she represents that. Okay. Phil, anything else?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. So then
Good is nice.
we'll move on then to chapter 46 called Beyond the Gate. What lies beyond the gate, Willem?
Freedom beyond the gate.
Freedom.
Freedom. Okay, parent point of view. We've got them obviously in Caemlyn, and it's time for parent to meet Daddy. Daddy with 9,000 Saldaean men behind him. He's an opposing figure, to say the least.
Imposing.
Imposing? What did I say?
Opposing. It's
Opposing.
not wrong.
He's a short dude, but
He is.
there's a lot. What dynamite comes in small packages. kind of
Carries a lot of gravitas.
That it does.
thing. Yes.
Anyway,
Impressive moustache.
Perrin
Those handlebars.
introduced himself to Davram, and Davram sort of just grunts at him and leads the way to where they're going to have this conversation. They get into their one little quarter room, wherever it is. Davram pours some wine, and then the discussion starts. There's a lot of talk about, are you good enough? Are you strong enough? Or kicked off by, well, you obviously just chasing my estates and my money. So where did you hear about me? And Perrin is like, well, I heard that you're a fur trader. I heard that you're a lumber merchant. At some point you sold ice peppers. But always scattered in between, there was a bit of talk about generals, things that generals do. So eventually he got Aiel to tell him a bit more, and he's like, who the bloody hell is this bloody Aiel you keep talking about? I'm here to talk about my daughter Zareen. And he's like, no. That's the name she took for herself as a hunter for the horn. And now Perrin is bragging about the achievements of his daughter, and he's falling into that trap, old Bashir. And then all of a sudden he pulls himself like, harumphs out of it, and like, you're in trouble here, son. And then Aiel pushes old beefy boy a bit too far, to the point where he growls up, and he has a little bit of a wolf growl that Aiel is his. Aiel is mine. And also to the point where Perrin got so angry that he crushed the wine cup like a little Red Bull can in his hand, like
A silver goblet.
a silver goblet. I thought it might have been pewter, but no, silver. That's some damn strong goblet, crushed like a little alloy
And
tin.
a goblet is also not a dainty thing. Like it's a...
No, but we also know Beefy
he's in
Boy's
a
not
palace,
a dainty
remember?
man.
No, he is beefy.
There's no pewter in the palace.
Yep. Anyway, Perrin begins to explain to Dad Basher that he would much rather be a blacksmith, and he is only a blacksmith. He's not from nobility. And then there's a big story about nobility comes and goes, and this cleaner says to have been someone in Arthur Hawking days, and just remember the road up and down is just as hard, and all whatever wisdoms get passed on to Perrin from Dad already.
Blah blah blah. Wisdom.
He's being pushed on, obviously not needing to hurt his daughter, and does he even know how to treat a woman? And there's even threats of death being handed out. And eventually they decide it's not that bad. And poor Perrin wished he had his cup so that he could drink some wine, because his throat's dry. But Davram decides that it's now time to go and see that Aiel and Daira has not murdered each other's yet. And as they sort of make their way through the palace and get closer Perrin's keen hearing can hear muffled voices, a little bit of arguing, and then 2 slaps. Like it's slaps giving in that room. To which they,
Is that a How I Met Your Mother
Yep,
reference?
that is.
I got it. I get that reference.
Slaps giving.
Slaps giving. Anyway, the door get knocked, open up. Women receive them lovely with smiles on their faces, except that they're wearing the hand marks on left cheeks. But it's not even,
Yeah.
there's nothing even drawn to that. Like what happens behind this closed room between mother and daughter has nothing to do with the men. And anyway, this is then Perrin describes the situation as 2 wet cats in a bag. That's a pretty good one, a new one there.
I would like to talk about these 2 wet cats. I read it as Aiel getting a slap. Only 1 slap.
No.
Did I miss a slap?
Yes,
She slapped him on
she
back.
slapped it back. They both wore.
Oh, maybe in my mind, I just can't imagine slapping my mother's. The idea wouldn't even occur to me. All right.
They both have a red handprint on their face when Perrin walks in.
Left cheeks.
I missed that entirely. All right.
No,
All right.
Perrin, the pervert, he lets his mind wander, and the attractive nature of his mother-in-law, and that he'll be a happy man if his wife ages to be that way. But she's also an eagle, this woman. Fine-looking eagle woman.
Of course.
Davram then asks about Zareen, and Lady Dara says she prefers Fahil now. Like, okay, they've accepted this now. She's got this name. And the mom is sort of saying, like, this is what it's. She sets the okay. She tells Perrin that yellow eyes doesn't make him a wolf, and how a lot of pressure around, can you handle a tough woman, and can she be woman enough to be herself? And some very freaky talk around the first time Davram grabbed her by the scruff of the neck and put her in her place, and how she loved it. And it's just going like, okay, now things starting to make
These
a bit
Saldaean
sense.
women like it
They
rough, eh?
do like it very.
Apparently.
Yeah, no, it just makes a lot more sense now. Why Perrin and Fahil, poor Perrin doesn't know. He's been pushed into this, but
Yeah.
hey, he got himself a rough girl, and he's got to make his nice little bed with that.
He's going to make his rough little bit
A
of
rough girl.
Yeah, but Perrin is being pushed real hard by the in-laws, and with all of that acceptance, which it basically comes to, that he'll be all right for a son-in-law, all of a sudden Fahil is like submissive, like this new scent, new look, that she's all of a sudden just like submissive to Perrin. Anyway, we jump to a point of view of Rand, very straight back into his planning on how to use people, and including Perrin in this case. Min enters the room, and like she doesn't knock or anything now. She's accepted by all the Aiel as someone that can just come and go as she pleases. So she's got her freedom in that. Rand reflects on how nice it is to have a girl on his knees now that Min is there. So there's been some more knee sitting, which I still don't believe is a euphemism, Joe.
No, obviously there is some times when she's just sitting on his knee, literally,
Yes.
and other times when there's nobody around, where it's a bit more than knee sitting.
Yes.
Well, Rand still thinks this whole thing is a joke. So I don't think there's much more happening than actual knee sitting. And when she says goodbye to him, giving him a kiss on the lips. And every time she gives him a kiss, it's a bit more of a thorough
Longer.
kiss. Every time it happens.
See, what happens is that knee sitting becomes awkward grinding. And Rand doesn't mind the awkward grinding. Although he's
Dry
just a,
humping. It's the natural progression.
let's move on swiftly. The woman,
Please.
Min talks about the fact that there was woman talk, and the woman talk was more about the fact that Fahil has laid down her law and territory, that Perrin is not hers. So good to know. Min had some viewings, but with the talking of the viewings and Aes Sedai being brought up as part of obviously the viewing, Lewis goes a little bit crazy in Rand's head. But Min elaborates around the viewings, and this was now when Perrin and Rand were together specifically. That it was like fireflies. Usually, what's seen at the Verin is like fireflies in the darkness. But when the two of them are together, it's like the fireflies take over and the darkness is like suppressed out of it. So maybe sort of the importance to have Matt and Rand with him in this fighting, this literal dark situation. Rand gets a warning around a viewing from Min, but this viewing is so intense, like this, that she can see someone's going to hurt Rand, that she's basically at the point of crying. And Rand now finally sort of like acknowledging, like, wow, this is deep emotions that a friend has maybe sort of clicking. Ooh, wait a minute. Like she's just someone's, the thought of her being hurt is making this woman cry. He is a bit dumb of an idiot, but anyway. She
Warhead.
obviously downplays the crying and says, no, it's just dust. Clean your room.
It's
Get
just raining in
Sulan to
my
clean
eyes.
better. Now, there's a reference of Mirana that's meeting with Palavar. That Min is giving her Rand now this information from what the Aes Sedai that she's there, sort of their background dealings. So Rand's getting a feel that they're also putting their feelers out to the nobility, high and low. And it's good information for Rand, I suppose. Min is giving him good stuff. Lewis keeps popping in and out to give feedback on the conversation.
Don't change it. Keep calling him Lewis, please.
It's the first time you've corrected yourself in 3 years.
I know.
Don't do it. I love it.
Yeah, Rand is pretty sweaty after that whole exchange. Big and Luz is just going off in his hand. Like he'd like kill them all. And then of course there's always Elayne, I'm love, and you know the mad things keeps crackling on.
I love it's with Lewis. It's always kill them all.
That's his
Doesn't
answer
matter
to
who's
everything.
in front of him. What should I do? I don't know. Kill them all.
We now jump to the point of view of Damara Erif, an Aes Sedai that is traveling with the little tower, Salidar Tower Aes Sedai, and she is heading out to the Oregon Gate. Her whole thing is about she wants access to the library and information that is in the library and all of it around everything that they're busy trying to find out about the seals and everything else that they want to know. There's obviously a push to get into these city libraries. So she wants to meet up with her connection. She kind of noticed that she is being followed by Aiel, but doesn't think too much about it. I mean, after all, Rand is the head of the spear, so to say he'll
Keeping tabs.
keeping tabs on everything. She's not going to break anything by going into the city. She's just going up to the gates, kind of thing. She doesn't meet her person that she's supposed to meet, and through an alleyway that she gets to make her way back now, she sees and sort of recognizes and thinks this is the same Aiel that was supposed to be following her. And as they sort of, she rounds the corner, she's faced with these 5 or 6 men, and as they pass her, it's like she gets speared in the side, misses the kidney, misses the liver, misses everything else, but a very defty blow gets land, and she tries to embrace Sadar, but she can't, and then darkness falls in. End of that little section. Then we jump to a parent point of view real quick. He is now alone with Fael, who is radiant and beautiful and looking proud and submissive and everything in the same sense. She informs him that she's also now been privy to learning a bit of maiden hand talk. So she sees what the maidens say about him and his beard. That it's not what
his shoulders, wasn't
his
it?
shoulders though. Is the beard they don't care for too much, but the big shoulders.
No.
Everything's been brought up to their rooms now. Announced that there's going to be some bath water on the way, and Perrin then tries to give Sulan money for her services, and I was like, "Oh no, he didn't!"
Don't do it, Baron.
Yo. Anyway, but while this is all going down, that there's going to be a bath and all of that, there's just her, Fail, when I say her, telling Perrin, just also edging him up towards the point that buttons are going to get ripped off soon. And one of the first of the 6
those big beefy fingers,
the first of the 6 grandchildren is going to get started made now. Disturbingly, Perrin dives into the fact that his mother-in-law told him way too in detail how you execute the having of a boy or a girl. So she probably said, like, yes, just stand up, do this, do that. And then Perrin is just like,
it's got to do with the position.
The Saldaean woman is just too rough. Anyway, now Fail also tells Perrin that spying is a woman's job and it's her job. And Perrin is like, you are not spying on Rand. Like, forget this. And he makes a promise, and she wordsmiths an Aes Sedai promise to him.
Totally.
Yes, and you just like, and Perrin's like, I feel better now. Let's have sexy time. And she's like, I tricked him. I'm going to have better sexy time. Anyway, buttons were broken and shirts were torn. Go back to the point of view.
Those Saldaean girls.
Yeah, man. Whew. Wild things. Point of view, Damara again. She has survived her spearing in the short rib. She was found barely alive. She was found by her warder, Stefan, who, as someone delivered the intended message for the purpose, he felt the stab, and he, being her warder, fled out, and they quickly found her, and she was healed. She's quite exhausted. She was very close to death any which way. They know for sure that this is a message that's been sent. She wasn't meant to be killed, but like the idiots that they are, they think this is Rand sending them a message. Who is it in actual fact sending them a message?
Bad and fine.
Don Faid?
Isn't this the White Cloaks? Part of the whole bigger plan?
Fane's White Cloaks.
Is this Fane's White Cloaks?
That's what I read a couple of episodes ago. I think last episode when we rattled off who each Aes Sedai is, I mentioned one that was stabbed by fake Aiel. What I'd read on the fandom wiki was that it was Fane's White Cloaks.
I kind of, the plans hatched with Asanawa, that they initially, before Pedronal gets killed, he's with who's his spy master, Bulwer or Radam Asanawa? Who's the real
Asanawa's the questioner.
Bulwer and him, where they lay out these little things and plans that they're gonna. I thought they were gonna maybe sow some. Okay, yeah, that doesn't make sense actually.
They were spreading rumors about the tower before.
Yeah,
Are you
tower.
looking into the future?
Okay, no, I've got something wrong there. But yes.
I'm only going on the fandom wiki entry that I read about some of those Aes Sedai, and this one in particular being stabbed by Fane's White Cloaks.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't put it past Pedron Denial to, have an assassination attempt on a witch.
Of course not.
But I think that the White Cloaks that are specifically in Caemlyn now are Fane's White Cloaks.
They're the ones that shot at Rand with the crossbows, and there's a couple of them kicking around.
Had that fight and that, in the street, and that other woman died. Some Rand, and it was like collateral damage. And so they're constantly attempting assassinations.
They're sort of harrying, right? Fane was, again, quite clear about he doesn't want anyone to kill Rand except himself.
Yeah, that's what's
So now
so
he's
weird
just,
for
he's
me.
just causing trouble. Distrust.
Chaos.
This is Mordeth's MO, right? Like causing
Chaos.
distrust.
Yes. Yeah. That makes sense.
Anyway, she has survived. Verin had joined the room, and Verin clears everyone out of the room, the wardens and all of that. And she's like, okay, cool. This is a lesson that we didn't have to teach Master Althor then. But she says, okay, cool. With the way that we're going to move forward, she gives Damara as the one that was attacked. And in what seems to be a power move of levels of authority, like Verin has just notched someone like down.
She's taken charge.
She's basically taken charge of the room now.
Yeah.
Verin is now up control. So there's obviously a bit of abbreviation or explanation about this power move that was just played out. And then they decide that no one is to go to the palace for a while and to let him stew on it, and that they will teach him. And then I laughed out loud, and then I laughed a bit harder, and at the end of the chapter.
You lolled, and then you lolled a little bit more. Yeah.
I lolled and I rolled
when Perrin takes
on the floor.
When Verin takes charge, doesn't she sit down? Take someone else's seat or something? Yeah, she's like, right, I'm sitting here now.
Yeah.
I'm in the general's chair.
I'm the captain.
Everyone
now.
listen to me. Yeah.
Pies.
Captain's chair.
Two pies, look at me. I'm the captain now. 2 pies, please.
There's also a little clue before Damara gets stabbed. She's like, oh, there's dark eyes. Something about dark eyes as well. And
also,
those aren't Aiel.
The Aiel is described as squat.
Squat.
Squat with dark eyes.
And it's when
anyone who knows an Aiel would know.
When she wakes up, she remembers the message that the dark-eyed, villainous-looking Aiel gave her. So there's a couple of physical descriptors that don't match what we know the Aiel to be. And I felt like the Aes Sedai should have known that as well. The fact that people comment to Rand that he looks like an Aiel is based on a set of physical traits, right? His height, his eyes, his red hair, and these guys don't match any of that, or at least the one that spoke to her didn't match any of that. And none of them, I guess the others don't know. It's only Damira that made the mistake of believing that it's an Aes Sedai. She just relayed to them that she was stabbed by Aes Sedai.
In disguise.
And I think more than once, right? Like she
Aiel.
got stabbed by Aiel. And she got stabbed more than once.
I think only once. I think. It could be. You mean I'm known to be wrong. But I mean, those Aiel and those supposed Aiel and their disguises. It's kind of like Brad Pitt in Inglourious Bastard being an Italian.
Arrivederci.
Yeah.
Buongiorno.
And they purposefully missed her organs.
Yeah.
And the guy came and announced the thing at the inn at the right time. My thought was, why the fuck was she cruising around in alleyways without her water? If you're just going to the library to go check a thing out, and like you're not like on official business, why would you not take your water into the streets with you? She's also dressed in a Domani dress. Like she's drawing attention And like as she's walking, she's thinking, "Oh, I
One
really
of
need to get some real
6
dresses." And then
styles
pushes
of
the thought out
dresses
her
that
head
she's
again.
worn her whole life, and every time she gets goggled at by men, she's like, "I should really change what I'm wearing," and just continues to wear the same 6.
And then
That is
heads
what you
out into the
call
street without a
hubris.
water.
Like just, we are just Aes Sedai. Like it doesn't matter if we little tower or big tower Aes Sedai. We Aes Sedai. We just rule the world.
Yeah.
Who rules the world?
No, she knows what's expected of her, but she doesn't want to do it. She wants to wear demanding dresses. She wants people to goggle at her, which is why she dresses like that.
Mm-hmm.
And here it came back to bite you in the ass just this one time. But look, yeah. I mean, that's why you have a warder, right? The situation's exactly like this.
Yes, it's like the perfect opportunity to utilize your water.
Yes.
Anyway, it's not like he was busy with something
not
else.
required.
If she had a water with her, then we would not have had this chapter where we get a false message delivered to them that they believe to be a true message, that this is Rand telling them, watch out, I'll knife you. What a stupid thing to believe. Like the most stupid thing to believe.
When Perrin meets Bashir, he reeks of cold fury. But I wonder what he's actually mad about.
Fuck is this guy that married my daughter? He's pissed off about his daughter.
Could just be that she's there.
Who the fuck are you?
Not necessarily even the
marriage.
You think it's the marriage?
Totally. Like this dude just married his daughter when he didn't even know he existed. Didn't know where his daughter was. She comes back, she's married to this guy?
It's true. I also thought it can't be easy to crush a silver goblet in your hand. Like, that is some...
Unless you're Perrin. Then it's a piece of cake.
But doesn't someone else crush a silver goblet in their hand? I feel like in Feldara or something.
This has happened before.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure it was Perrin. This is a Perrin thing. Goblets are not safe around Perrin.
I thought maybe it was Leanne. I can't remember why Leanne would do that.
You don't often.
This has happened before. You are right.
You don't often
We've
see
read
him
a thing about goblets.
Goblets of wines.
Well, they were
he
sitting
keeps
with
crushing them.
Lord Agelmar, who was reciting poetry and stuff up in that room. They were... I feel like it was like when Leanne was talking about Melchior or something like that. Why would Perrin be crushing a goblet?
Him and Leanne were having a pomorph, as Villy would say, I imagine.
Mm-hmm. But yes, I'll go see. I'm not going to promise a callback, but I will see if I can go scan and find a broken.
By
goblet.
saying that, you are promising a callback. Now everyone's expecting it.
Most of all, me, because I can't let it go because I'm like a fucking dog with a bone.
There was definitely another instance of a goblet being crushed, and then wine spilling over his hand. I remember that clear as day. But I don't know who it was. It's got to be Perrin.
Rand still thinks that Min's behavior is part of a joke, but he is he's breaking down, and he thinks to himself, he wasn't made of wood. Interesting choice of words, RJ.
I know.
I had that exact same thought as well.
Surely it can't be accidental, right?
No.
And Min says of Aiel, he's found his falcon, and I wouldn't be surprised if she kills him when the hawk arrives. Yep. Good read, Min.
No surprise. Everyone's like, yep.
When Rand tells Lews Therin to shut up, it's out of nowhere. There's no preamble. There's no talking about Lews Therin mumbling in his head or anything. Rand is like mid-conversation, and then suddenly just in his head, he's going, shut up, go away. I was like, oh, shit, okay, caught me by surprise. A lot of this to and fro between Lews and Rand before the whole box incident, right? So setting up that little dynamic. And then the 2 instances where Perrin needs to be there or Rand will die. You want to take some stabs at what those are? Should be pretty obvious.
No, I don't remember.
You two should both remember at least one.
The first one is the box.
Two Wise Wells.
Yeah,
I haven't read that far.
Instrumental there. And
haven't you read it yet, Joe?
Okay. No, I'm on like chapter 49 or something. I'm still in the late 40s.
I thought you forged ahead and finished the book.
No.
Okay. The other is Tom and Guidon. When Perrin is using the dream spike and stuff and protecting Rand from people being able to travel into the area where he's battling the Dark One and stuff.
Okay.
Right. What else? Oh, here's a thing that I mentioned in the last episode about how can Rand not know that he's in love with Min? Because So every time he thinks about Min, Elaine and Avienda, or Min finds herself into the conversation, and here he ran things to himself. She was a friend. He could as well have been called to Elaine and Avienda were the names that came to mind, and they did not fit to Matt and Perrin. Like he's thinking of being called to Min.
They do fit, Rand. They do fit.
2 + 2 makes 4, Rand. Figure it out.
When people call him a wool-headed sheep herder, for reasons, good reasons.
It's usually girls that also call him that because he is being that at that point in time.
Yeah.
But that is the theme of this entire series, right? Everyone's a fucking moron. Just like, speak to each other.
Yes,
if you communicate for 1 second, all of this shit.
If I ever write a story one day, I want to write that in where people actually communicate well, and these things are totally nipped in the bud.
But if you don't have conflict, you don't have a story, Moritz. That's
you
why.
You can still have conflict. It can still be done.
Yeah, just different. Yeah, okay. Just not this kind of conflict.
No. Should we move into our final chapter for the evening?
Oh, yes.
That chapter is chapter number 47, and its name is The Wandering Woman. Wonder what this one could be about, Joe?
It's about an inn, Moritz.
Ah, weird.
It's about another inn. Ah, surprise, surprise. This chapter started off so nicely for me because it just starts like slap dab in the middle of Matt's like inner monologue as he's traveling to Ebou Dar. Like, dude doesn't like previous chapters are like him going, I'm not going with them. I'm not doing what they say. Here he is. As Matt was wandering over to Ebou Dar with Elayne and Nynaeve, all of his, objections overruled. Here he is on his way to Ebou Dar already. Like we got over, like also again, like the leaving and all of that stuff are kind of like glossed over in a previous chapter because they're already well on their way. So he's with Elayne and Nynaeve. Obviously, they're with Adelaus and Van Dien, Avienda, Brigitte, Julian, Tom. They're all the whole cruise, the whole Elayne crew basically,
and 12 cavalrymen from the band. That I don't think we mentioned that last time.
The Red Arms are there. There's a dozen of them. And Lysian is there. Vannon, of course, and Olva, as Billy said earlier, are part of the company. And then Matt's got his two servants, the old Nerem and Lopen combo are with them now. And these guys are like, when they're trying to feed him as well, they're like, he doesn't want the food that they're serving. He's like, do you know how fucking hard it was to get like honeyed lamb? I don't even remember what it was. It was some sort of weird combo.
There's a lot of
tongue.
weird.
But
honey tongue.
Honey tongue.
Honey tongue and I think there was like eels and
then, yeah. Oh, the Aes Sedai are eating the lamb, and he's like, I'd rather have the lamb.
Yeah.
Like smelling it over the cook fires. But yeah, and Lopen and or Nerem are upset that he won't eat the honey tongue that they tried to get so much effort involved. But anyway, these guys like Nerem and Lopen, the entire time are having this little battle between themselves, like who's the best servant, which is always great. I like both of these guys, and I'm bummed now that you mentioned, Morris, that one of them is killed so horribly as well by a golem. I had forgotten that.
Really? I'd forgotten that.
Many other thousand things.
I thought Nalessian was killed by the golem.
Oh, were you saying Nalessian was killed by
That's
the
what I
golem?
thought.
I thought you meant Nerem was killed. Oh, okay.
no, Nerem was there for a
I don't
while.
care about Nalessian. Okay, Nerem survives, then I'm happy. That's fine. All right, I misunderstood you. So, Elayne and Nynaeve, like there's a lot of weirdness going on as well between them. Elayne and Nynaeve are like super nervous all the time. Olva, of course, is there. He constantly dislikes Avienda. Like Matt's telling him, like, if you want to go over, you can go over and eat with them. And he's like, no, she'll put a fucking knife in my ribs. And he's like, dude, she's not going to kill you. Just relax. But Olva is, through experience, based on his personal experience, is very distrusting of Aiel.
You say.
No.
Yeah, indeed. So like Matt is constantly thinking that Brigitte is just a hunter for the horn. It's super tense in the atmosphere around them all the time in the camp. There's a Jaime, and is Jaime another one of the guys that's like with Vannon? Because I don't remember who this Jaime guy is, but he pops up a lot in this chapter.
Isn't that the Van Dien or Adelaide's warder?
Warder, yes.
Oh, that's
The old
right.
warder.
That's right. He's the warder. That's who he is. All right. Okay, so he's there too. Him and Vannon are all constantly sent out to scout. So like that. Oh yes, of course. The Aes Sedai are sending Jaime, and then Matt is sending Vannon to do the scouting aid because Matt doesn't believe what Jaime is going to bring back. And if he brings back anything and tells the Aes Sedai, they're not going to tell him. So he has his own scouts. I recall.
He's the best scout, Vannon.
Yeah, Vannon. Like you were saying earlier, Moritz, in the previous chapters, like Vannon is like slipping out of Salidar past
Orders.
the warders without being noticed. Like that is the height of sneakiness.
Totally.
If you can get past, and it's not just one warder. That's like there's hundreds of Aes Sedai, probably hundreds of warders because there's greens.
He's
there
a
too,
grey
so
man,
that's
Vannon.
incredible.
He just blends in with the environment. He just goes.
Yeah.
Totally. What would you call a grey man
He
of the
is.
light? A beige man.
Beige.
Beige man. Totally. All right, new T-shirt. Beige man.
Vannon. Beige man.
Verin is a beige man. So Elayne is constantly harping on with Matt about his foxhead medallion. She's like, if you give it to me and I'll check it out and I really want to investigate it, I'll give it back to you and everything. He's like, no, you're not fucking touching my foxhead medallion. Not a chance. And she's kind of all prissy about it and then leaves. But throughout the journey, constantly that thing is turning cold against him. Time after time after time. And every time he turns around and looks at them, they're all like standing together and writing notes in books and like you got their heads together, mumbling and whispering at each other. And he's like, and the whole time, this is the part I mentioned earlier in the episode, just like the Matt hate that's going on about. They treat him so badly, and it's like, all right, fine, you don't want to give us your permission, we will just do it without your permission. And I'm like, dude, that's not cool.
Yeah.
You can't treat this man like that.
Yeah.
But they do. And it's like day after day after day after day. They like on the third day of their travels, they reach some village as well, and it happens again. Nynaeve this entire time is avoiding Matt constantly. Like whenever he tries to approach her, she sees him and she runs away. Is she afraid that he's going to kick her back? Like he's still out for revenge.
Pointed her finger at her to the point where she's actually scared now.
Because we are like later when they're actually hitching the horses in the stable and stuff, she's in there and Matt walks in and he wants to just talk to her. He's already
like
kind of
jumps,
moved on, and she jumps and she's like, "Don't you dare touch me!" and like slinks past him and scuttles off. Like she is genuinely afraid of him.
Did he like give her the like I'm watching you, bitch?
I mean, in the office after she kicked him, he stalked her down, and if Egwene hadn't, intervened, like you said, he probably would have, knowing RJ, he probably would have given her a spanking.
Oh, yeah, definitely. All right, so she's still on about that. Because, I mean, like Matt, being a man myself, I've already moved on. I've forgotten about that shit. But she's clinging on to it. She still thinks he's after her. All right, okay. Got it. So, yeah, they move on. Again, they stay at another village. It's like village after village. They stay at an inn called the Marriage Dagger. Now you know you're in Ebou Dar territory.
Oh, yes.
By the names of the inns that are changing. Matt is chatting to Tom one night and he finds out that Brigitte is Elaine's warder, the hero of the Horn and all that kind of stuff, and that Jaime has become friends with her. Well, I suppose that warders hang out, like warders become friends with each other, but now Jaime and Brigitte have developed some sort of relationship.
It's specifically when Jaime found out that she is Elaine's warder that he took her in as almost like a daughter.
Yeah, because Jaime is also an old dude. He's been around.
Yeah, Matt thinks.
He's not a
Matt
young
thinks
man.
in the previous chapter where you meet Jaime is like his hair is like falling out, like he's really really old, and he goes, "Yep, typical Aes Sedai. They just work you to old age and death, and then after death probably work your bones."
Typical Matt thought.
Typical Matt thoughts, but Jaime opted
Not
in
wrong.
and has volunteered. It's just Matt being Matt.
Yeah. Matt being Matt. God, good old Matt, eh? So, okay, day after day after day. It's like the fourth day already. They're on the road. They're in a town called, I think it's So Tehar. Like, the names are becoming weird now. They're definitely in a different area of the world. It's now at this point that the Aes Sedai discover that the medallion doesn't work if you throw things at him. While his back is turned to them, he feels something hit his back, something warm and moist. And they've thrown a horse turd at him. And I'm like, fuck, like, this is just so ridiculous and so disrespectful to Matt. It's like, really, out of all the things you could have picked up, you're throwing shit at him now. Like they're giving him shit, figurative shit. Now they're giving him literal shit as well. So I'm getting very, very pissed off at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically now they've figured out, okay, we can't direct things, but if we pick up things and throw them at him, that'll work. So they're still carrying on with their investigations into how the whole thing works, the whole Foxhead medallion. I'm wondering, do they even know it's a Foxhead medallion? Have they seen it?
No,
or do they just...
because I made that same. Remember the last time when I said Matt was dressed down, or like in his opinion, dressing up for the Aes Sedai, he was still going to leave his coat and everything unbuttoned, and I thought maybe they had seen it. But like Billy said, they talked about the warders turning out his pockets. And when Elayne asks him about it, she says, "You have with you a terangrial. You must know. Can I study it?" She doesn't say anything about the medallion or anything like that. So I don't think they know that the medallion is.
So they don't know what it looks like. They don't know it's around his neck.
Don't think so.
Yeah, because throughout this chapter, it's constant. Like, it's cold all the time. Like, every 5 minutes, he's like, "What the fuck?" Like, constant attacks on him. I would call them attacks. So eventually, on the 5th day, they reach Ebou Dar. Matt feels the dice tumbling in his head. And I'm like, oh, the good old dice. We haven't had the dice tumbling in his head in ages. And they arrive at the main square. It's called Molhara. Against some strange things. And the Molhara. What?
Hurrah.
The second day? Anyway. Hurrah! And the Terrasan Palace. They've come to the home of Queen Tylen, who does enjoy a sex slave from time to time. So Matt's like, well, I'm not going to stay in the palace. Fuck nobles. His feelings on nobles and palaces.
You had the right first gut idea there. Like, stare of that palace.
Yeah.
No, what he thinks when he looks at the palace is he wonders what it would be like to live in it.
You'll find out soon.
Exactly.
Don't worry about it. But his instinct is like, all right, that's just wondering. But his instinct is, I'm going to go stay at that inn. The Wandering Woman is the name of the inn, for everyone to know. There you go. Chapter name confirmed. And in they go. They're going to go stay there, him and the band. And they invite Tom and Julian, but Tom and Julian are like, no, we'll stay at the palace. Like, they are still... Tom, at least, is like, if I have to choose, I'm choosing Elayne. They get to stay in some crappy little room in the dungeons or something like that. They're in a servants' quarters of the palace, but they're super stoked that they don't mind. So then, of course, like Matt and Alician and the Red Arms and stuff, they enter the inn where they are greeted by the innkeeper, Satel Anan. Is this she who is no more or whatever?
Yes. And I suspect the reason the dice are rattling in Matt's head, because they stop when they go in here.
They stop right now, exactly. And then the dice stop rolling when they are greeted by her. Short summary of the chapter. That's basically what happens. They're in Ebou Dar now. The Aes Sedai in the palace. They're going to Queen Tylen. And these guys are now greeted by Satel Anan. All right.
Yeah.
Comments?
Have at it. I don't have a lot of notes, but I do have some. But Vil, if you've got anything you want to add in there, you can go first.
No, my biggest gripe there is just the way the treatment of how they just think they can treat Matt. It's pretty horrid.
It is.
I've had a rant about it already, so I don't have to really carry on about it.
Don't worry, Matt will be okay. They shouldn't do it. Of course not. He comes out okay.
Yeah.
Don't get too hung up on it.
Look, I mean, just the last episode, weren't we talking about how Rand is like, go and sort these women out, bring them back,
yes,
grab these others, intimidate them, loom over them a bit.
Everybody
so the men are doing
is
it to the
being
women,
shit.
and the women are doing it to the men.
Yeah.
So, but it's Matt.
It's Matt.
We love Matt. And we don't like
don't
to
wanna
see people
that.
disrespect Matt.
That brings me to my next point. Something we
Pointers.
didn't talk about much here is how Elayne is sort of coming up to Matt the whole time and inspecting his troops and like
Yes,
complimenting
yes,
him
we
on
forgot
how
that.
he's like, oh, you did this thing right, but maybe think of this or blah blah. Like, and he's going. The most frustrating thing is she's coming him to and telling him to do things that he knows he has to do and he's about to do anyway. Like she is, and this really irked me. Like because I relate to Matt and I love Matt. Like I'm having Matt's reaction to it. Like fuck off, Elayne. I know all this shit. I don't need you to come to. Who the fuck are you? Like he's got all this battle experience and like managing troops and all that sort of stuff. And my initial reaction is also just pure annoyance. And then what I thought later, and as I sat with it, is like I needed to remind myself how much I also like Elayne and what this actually means for her and what this show is about her. I don't think she's doing it purely to antagonize Matt. I mean, there's absolutely an element of that. But
Certainly.
if you recall, Elayne is also choosing the Green Archer, and in the final battle also takes charge of the forces of the light at some point. Like there is a general in Elayne. She also studied under Gareth Bryan. She genuinely knows these things. So like she's also telling Matt to do things that Matt knows needs to be done. So she's right. She's not just a princess from a tower who then became Aes Sedai and is playing at soldier. She knows things about actual soldiering, and she doesn't know what Matt holds in his head, right? All she's been told is he's another kid from the Two Rivers. He's a fucking farmer. Why would she know that he knows how to run an army? So I'm cutting her a bit of slack, and what I actually like about it is like eventually when Vannon, like what Matt's breaking point is when Vannon looks all pleased after Elayne compliments him on something. Matt's like, that's my dude. Stop influencing my dude. And I was thinking, okay, if I take Matt out of the equation, it's actually really cool that Elayne is having this almost camaraderie with the soldiers and is taking an interest in them. It's not Van Dien and Elias and Nynaeve or anyone else. It's Elayne, and she's coming over and she's she's knowledgeable about this stuff and will draw on that knowledge later when she is commanding. I think she commands the forces of the Aes Sedai or something in the last battle. Like if not all of the armies, she is managing a large contingent of them. So I talked my way out of being just supremely pissed off with Elayne, and it is because, like you said, because it's Matt, it's happening to Matt that I'm so indignant about it. Fuck off, leave Matt alone. He knows what he's doing.
This also rings true to me because for so many years of my life, I worked with my father in construction and stuff like that. And I'd be doing something and he'd come up and say, oh yeah, do that. And I'd be like, I'm already fucking doing it. like I know what I need to do. Stop telling me to do it. And it's like, it was really like a blast from the past.
You.
Reading this shit triggered me 100%. Like, and I know that this is bothersome because I do it with my kids too.
Yeah.
Like they'll be, if they've already done something that needs to be done, I still tell them, because I'm the dad, I have to give the order. Like, I know that's exactly what my dad did, and I do the same thing. So when I see it happening with Matt as well, but yeah, I get why. Like, that's not the part that bothered me the most. The part that bothered me, their treatment of Matt, was the shit flinging and the constant, like, if you won't come to us, we will just throw weaves at you 24/7 until we get what we want. Like, fuck off, guys.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lie. That's not.
I enjoyed, like, when Elayne asks Matt, first of all, like, I think you recognize that Terangriel are a thing of the power and that everyone knows that Aes Sedai should be in possession of them. So I won't demand that you give it to me, but I think that every night you should give it to me and I'll give it back to you in the morning. And Matt goes, oh, how very nice of you to suggest that I can keep the thing that is mine. How about this? No. Like his answer is extremely sarcastic. So I mean, he also goes out of his way to be like, you could just say, well, no, I'm not comfortable with that, don't do it. He's being Matt.
That's not how Matt is.
Exactly.
It's like,
and that's my point, right?
It's not like,
he's not doing himself any favors. He's not trying to ingratiate himself with these women. And I know he shouldn't have to, but he could make his own life easier for himself. But that's not Matt. Matt is going to Matt, and now he's dealing with the consequences, which are shit, but also not totally unpredictable. I did laugh at Matt when they're sitting and having a drink with Tom and Julian, and he says, I guess a female warder. She looks like she would be a fine warder if she can actually shoot that bow. And Julian starts choking, and Tom has to like slap Julian on the back and he goes, "Don't worry, Matt. I think she can."
Yes.
Nice moment of levity.
That was a cool spot. Yeah.
What else? I already made the mention of when Matt sees the palace, he thinks about what it would be like to live there. You'll find out pretty soon. And Sital Anan is on the scene, and the dice must be for the success of the mission, because it's when he has to make a big choice, and he picks the inn. When he picks the inn that has she who is no longer, who finds the bowl of winds for them, or helps them find the bowl of winds, the dice stop. Lucky Matt made the right lucky choice once again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wow, that's some good stuff. Some lots of political maneuvering, but then also these like pretty funny chapters with Matt and Elayne.
I enjoyed reading this stretch, and I've read ahead a bit, and I enjoyed that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were, like the chapter, the first chapter we did today about the Aes Sedai and like whatever. But things are happening again. We're getting closer to the end of the book. We're getting closer to chapter 55. Do Mice Wells.
Which I was reflecting on today, must be the most memorable chapter of the entire book to me. It's the thing, like when you think like what is the most hardcore, like hectic thing that happens. Do Mice Wells is at the top of the list for me.
I wouldn't even say this book. I would say maybe of the series.
Like, I meant the series. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
You said, okay. But anyway.
Sorry, it's late.
Like if you go onto forums, if you go to like Facebook groups and stuff of Wheel of Time fandoms and stuff, people are always sharing like on their rereads where they are. 100% of the time they're sharing Do Mice Wells.
Yes.
Like that is
it's always in relation.
Like, okay,
have you reached Do Mice Wells yet?
Yes. Like that's like you start the book. I've finished book 1 milestone. I've read Do Mice Wells, second milestone, and I'm finally at the last battle. People share like
the end of the Wheel of Time.
Chapters.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like those are the 3 most common photos and like pit stops.
No one's saying I'm doing my in-between stint of the new spring.
Or a couple mentions of the slog. I'm deep in like Crossroads of Twilight or something, and the politics is killing me.
Christina's like last night we went to bed at midnight after watching a movie. And she takes out her book and starts reading because Egwene is in the tower. She's like, that's where she is. Like, I don't care what time it is. I'm reading about Egwene in the tower now, even if it's just 10 minutes before bed. Whatever.
Oh, I love it, Christina.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we've covered everything for this evening. Shall we move along then to favorite moments?
Aye.
Oh, you seem very enthusiastic, Jody. So what is your favorite moment from this stretch? Oh, God damn it.
My favorite moment is a Matt moment.
Of course.
Obviously. There's a lot of Matt in this. But it's that moment in the chapter I read where it's like, where the chapter starts with, after all his protests, Matt is on his way to Ebou Dar. Like, the inevitability of it. Like, after all your bitching and complaining and resisting, there he is. I'm on a horse going to Ebou Dar.
I mean, that is Matt's way, right? Like, just like constantly resisting and kicking and screaming. I'm not the bloody hero. I'm no fucking lord, blah, blah, blah. And then he always ends up doing the
I
thing.
listened to Tom a bit there
Exactly.
before the stretch, saying like, hey, have you thought about just doing, out of good, just doing it.
Yeah, the thing is, the chapter when I read that chapter, I hadn't read for a couple of days. I'd forgotten the build up to it. Now that we've recapped everything, there is a build up to Matt being on the road to Ebou Dar, but I'd forgotten all of that. Like kind of like cataloged it. And by the time I got to that chapter, all I remembered was his fighting about it, and then
The next chapter,
on the road.
like, almost
next
there.
chapter. All of that was for nothing, Matt.
Yeah. How about you, Vil?
I don't want to just mat it all out there, but it's so hard.
Are you gonna?
Parents
Just
wasn't really noteworthy. I mean, he squashed the cup, just showed his strength. But Matt,
Hey, that in-law meeting is...
Matt walking up to Swan, think he's gonna dance with a pretty little blue-eyed girl, and Swan putting him right back in his place, and he recognizing and remembering, oh shit, this is the real Swan sunshine. Oh goddamn.
What am I doing? I just realized that Swan must have been sitting there and like seen him a mile away because she can see to Verin. So he would have been this like shining person walking through the crowd coming over. She's like, oh God, here he comes, ready to just send him packing.
And he's like, hey, baby.
Hey, little Lance.
I don't want anything to do with this this Halima lady. She's a bit too weird, always trying to lead. I'm like, here's a pretty little thing over here. Uh-oh. Swan Sanjay.
Pretty little snip of a
Should have
woman.
stuck with Halima, bro. You would have been better off.
No.
Yeah, because Arangar can't channel at you. So you're safe.
A little bit of a risky biz. Is Logain still in the camp with him there?
Salidar.
Yes.
Yeah.
So wouldn't that have been
Shielded.
one massive risk for Halima to channel?
He's shielded.
I thought the same thing. Now, I think he, shielded or not, he would have sent someone channeling. But I think that Halima just channeled a little bit at him to like probe him or something. What are they not probe? That's what aliens do. What's the other thing? Delve.
Probe. Same,
Like,
same.
She just channeled a little bit. I don't think she channeled massively enough for Logain to have sensed it. I think she was just testing the waters kind of a thing and then went like, whoa, my test.
What do you think? Maybe a little bit of
Disintegrate.
compulsion or...
I don't know what she was trying to do.
I think compulsion is quite an intricate and power-hungry weave. I don't think it's like a slight thing.
And would you do it across a dance floor of people, from a distance? Compel him to do what?
Dance with
Maybe
them
just
or-
delve.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe she had heard. Maybe she knows about Matt's
She looks shocked.
ability to dissolve.
Yeah, she
She
weed.
looks shocked. The
No,
face,
she
the
was
look on her
shocked,
face
yeah.
is sheer shock.
I took that whole thing
don't
of
know.
her looking shocked. It's completely like, man, couldn't have been her. I mean, I didn't even
Why
think
would she
for
look
a
shocked?
moment that the medal would stop Sardine. Didn't think that. That went over my head.
Hmm.
You learn
lots of shit
something
goes
new
over
every
my
day.
head.
All of us. It's kind of our MO.
But the shit hits Matt square between the shoulder blades. Like, no shit
Doesn't
goes
go
over his head.
No. Well, I'll just complete the trifecta then and have a Matt moment
Please.
as my favorite moment. That should come as zero surprise. But it is when Matt sees Egwene and the other Aes Sedai come from Salidar the morning of their departure, and he sees her and she looks alone, and he figures, fuck these guys for treating a Two Rivers woman that way, and goes over and he makes a big show of deferring to her and everything. And then when she says like a quiet, thank you, Matt, I was just like, loyal Matt, he's making it like a Two Rivers thing, but there's probably like an Egwene loyalty as well, right? Like they are friends. They have spent time together.
Nice one, Moritz. Upstaged us all. That is definitely the best one.
That's purely subjective.
It's a competition, Moritz, don't you know?
I had an honorable mention with Rand getting some news from back home and laughing about Mistress Lewin and her bowing to Perrin. It's all very nice until Rand, sort of puts a damper on things again. And then we had a listener submission of a favorite moment from Jacob saying, his words, beefy boy getting thrown into the thick of it with the Bashir family and the insanity that is the Saldaean relationship mechanics. Jacob got a kick out of that.
Shot Jacob. Jacob was a big contributor this week.
Big time. He had an honorable mention as well that I shared with him, which is Matt just going dancing from Halima channeling at him and it failing, or him asking Swan to dance and finally dancing with Leanne. He just thought it was a great scene, and it was like for a moment there I thought about like, would I make that my favorite moment? But then what really tugged at my heartstrings was the solidarity with the Two Rivers.
Yeah. Two Rivers forever.
That's what your tattoo says, doesn't it, Joe?
Yeah, the one on my lower back. My tramp stamp. Yes.
Two Rivers tramp stamp, yeah.
Two Rivers forever. Reach 4.
To our listeners, tell us about your Two Rivers tramp stamp tattoos and also your thoughts and your theories and your harebrained schemes, any answers you might have to questions that we've left woefully unanswered here. do that by messaging us through any of the social media links in the episode description, where you'll also find links to our website where you can leave a voicemail that we can edit into the show. You can find links to our t-shirt store, our Discord server, and all kinds of fun ways to interact with the podcast and become part of it. So do check that out. In the meantime, next time on Blood and Ashes, we will cover chapter 48 called Leaning on the Knife through to the end of chapter 52 called Weaves of the Power. Couldn't find a more generic chapter name in the Wheel of Time than Weaves of the Power, other than maybe Threads in the Pattern, which is also a common one. I think it appears a couple times.
Another 5 chapters.
But yeah, we're getting to the business end now, hey? Like, this is the real pointy end of this book. Only two more episodes to go after this one, and that will draw a line under the Lord of Chaos, and then we can join Villy in the throes of Crown of Swords.
I'm moved on already, baby.
You finished Crown of Swords?
Well, just about. By the time you join up, I'll be moved on. I've got
all right.
half an hour.
Sweet.
Exciting stuff.
Villy, have you just forgotten what you've already read, or are you that good at controlling yourself? Because you haven't given us...
Compartmentalizing.
Trying to be like really good, and also trying to act like I know stuff. Like, just not putting it out there. I read this. And it's like every now and then, like, oh yeah, because this happens, you know. It's like, my memory is so good. I remember so well.
Yeah, I'm excited. But that will be next time on Blood and Ashes. And until then, I will say unto thee, sleep well and wake.
Good evening.
Kikiriki.
What's that?
That's what a rooster says in Spanish.
No.
In English, we say cock-a-doodle-doo. In Spanish, it's kikiriki.
Now that you say it, both of those things sound incredibly wrong.
And cock-a-doodle-doo? That's fucking ridiculous. It doesn't sound anything like what a rooster says. We broke Billy. We haven't broken Billy in ages. His whole camera is shaking. It's brilliant. Well, kikiriki, everyone.
Kikiriki. Maybe we should change the official sign-off for the show too. What?
Kikiriki.